It's Friday, April 11th, 2025. All right, everybody. Quick reminder up front that if you'd like to support our show, you can go to supportourshow.computer, shortened to com. And there you will find all the support options that are currently available. I don't think I've added any, so it should be the same as it has been the last time you checked, most likely. Also, we seem to be gaining some Patreon people on the free tier. Great. I don't care. Doesn't have to be paid. So I can only imagine
how
they're coming for
peculiar.
No, I don't think so, because I've been putting that into the video stuff now at the front saying, hey, if you want to watch this without all the bullshit censorship, go here and join for free. So I think people are taking me up on that, because a lot of places will charge for that. We don't. So it's like, okay, no, you're going to see everything. I don't care. So I think that's probably I mean, look, it's not like 1,000 people joined in a week. It was, I think, one in a month. But whatever. I don't care. It's going up. And I have to believe it's from that, because I have been splashing that image at the beginning of all the videos on the YouTube channel that are movie related. Not the gameplay stuff. The gameplay stuff, amazingly, they don't restrict any of that. I think we got one block on a Fallout 76 video, 7-8 years ago? So whatever the hell we were playing that. And that was because I think I used the Final Countdown song to emphasize the first time we saw the nuke create the Goblin Queen or whatever it's called. I think that was it. And that is the only time I've ever put any outside music into it. Outside of that, there's never been a block. It's only been the stuff that's the movie reviews or not the commentaries, because they're Patreon only. So the commentaries haven't been blocked at all. So, like I said, that's all in the free tier. There's nothing that is locked. The paid stuff is optional entirely. I don't care. We're not looking to get rich off it. So yeah, if you want to see the videos as intended, the director's cuts, if you will, that's where you can see them. Otherwise, this stuff there's no video to what we're doing now, so that's just a placeholder image. None of that stuff has to go into Patreon. I don't bother. It's only the extraneous stuff that can get blocked. Yeah. Which, as far as the gameplay videos, I think I said this before, we are now front-loaded into 2026, so plenty of that coming. And I'm still doing the Stalker 2 videos, so those are coming out. As well as the art streams, those are there. So there's a ton of stuff on the YouTube channel, astonishingly, because I don't release it every day. I kind of space it out, but still. So if you haven't gone there in a while, it's kind of packed.
Oh, there's a backlog.
Yeah, there is. A lot of our stuff, amazingly, is... I just got a comment yesterday, day before, something like that, within the last week, from somebody who said, "Oh, can you post the link to the Slinger Cyborg cut?" And I looked at it, and it's expired. And I said, that one doesn't work anymore. I said, there is one on archive that looks like it's roughly the same, but not quite as pretty.
Which one's that?
That was remember Cyborg, the Van Damme movie, and there was the alternate cut where it was all religious and the devil and all that?
Yeah.
I mean, we did that a while ago. and somebody just heard the 5 on it and sent a message
there you
about
go.
it. So, yeah. And the only bad part is a lot of times, like I said, those links don't necessarily last. So that's the only bad part.
Things shift, things move.
Yeah. But Archive always seems to have a copy of something. And it does seem to have a copy of it. It's just what looks like the VHS one as opposed to the one I saw, which looked like it was partially HD anyway. Part of it had to be from a Blu-ray because it was too crisp looking, except for the inserted parts. Those went back to VHS. So, but even that will still give you the flavor of the movie. It's still that version of it. But it's the only bad part about not listening to the stuff right away is some of those links do expire. But most of our stuff is not related to anything topical. So the most topical material we've done in quite a while has been on the Sniper Elite videos, which by the time they come out, who knows?
All our swastika jokes will be...
Yeah, all of our Elon Musk swipes and our Tesla slams. I mean, by the time those videos come out, Tesla could be no more. Who knows the way the stock's going. There, I just said the most topical thing of this show. If you have stocks, I'm sorry to hear it. That's it. That's all there is to say. So... it's funny. I just met with my retirement guy just to make sure, because I expect that I won't retire till I'm 80. So I was just like, yeah, assuming the retirement age goes up, I'm still okay, right? And he was like, oh, no, you're fine. He's like, but don't look at your stocks in the next day or two. And I'm like, oh, I'm not.
Day or two. Give it longer than that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like,
you're playing the long game here, man.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. That was it. So, but it was funny. He said that. I'm like, yeah, that's not a concern for me. I'm not. There are people who do that. I don't ever do that. They look at their retirement thing. They look at their retirement thing like every month, even if they're not close. I know some people who do this. I'm like, why? You're not close. Why would you even bother? Even if it went up, it wouldn't be enough to live on if you were to retire now.
Just to make sure it's still there. Yeah. But know, if you hate your job enough that you're looking, I mean, that's honestly the flip is most of the time the people who look at their retirement all the time kind of don't like their job. And my logic is, if you don't like your job, that rather than look at your retirement fund and count it waiting, go find something else, or try to find something else.
I was going to say that's the problem now is trying to find anything.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I don't know why looking at it matters for trying to find something else anyway.
I had friends working dead-end jobs out in Jersey. And I remember they complained endlessly about Jersey and the dead-end jobs, and and the thing is, these are people who had no significant others. Their family was in the area, but that's about it. And they hated the area. And I kept saying to them, I was like, if you're going to work a dead-end job, you do realize you could work a dead-end job anywhere. Why does it have to be here? You might as well go be someplace you want to be, so that when you finish your dead-end job at the end of the day, you could be like, hey, I'm here. I'm in blah. I'm wherever suits you. I mean, I always jokingly said Hawaii. If you're gonna work in a random drugstore, why not work in a random drugstore in Hawaii? If that's the kind of place that you want to be. You might as well work a shit job someplace not shit. If
Life's
you can
a
find
dead-end job, man. When you think about it.
No.
Yeah.
No, I think that life is precious. I think that the world can be pretty amazing. I think it's just
it's still a dead end job.
Oh, it is, yeah. But I think that we forget about what's actually important, which is it's the living part that's important. Yeah.
Yeah. So you are in a position to actually live without being miserable.
Yeah, to whatever degree. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So, but I actually have a review to bring to the table.
Sure. Yeah.
Which, God, I don't know if it's a good review. You never have that where you have something and you're like,
oh, I have that.
Yeah,
not tonight, but I've had those. Yes.
It's not a bad review, but it's not a good review necessarily either. And
sure.
I'll preface this by saying I love Tom King, the writer. He's done a lot of work for DC and Marvel.
I've done many reviews where I've said, for the right audience, this is probably worth watching, but I wouldn't recommend it.
No, but not even. That's the thing. It's not. This isn't even a right audience thing. This is a. There are elements of this that are very good, and there's elements of this that are not. And it's and the parts that are good are great, and the parts that aren't good, are kind of crap, and you're kind of like, okay. And I think that overall the good outweighs the crap. So what I was saying was I love Tom King. He's going to work with Marvel and DC. He did the Miracle Man series. He did the Adam Strange series. He did the Marvels series. He has also done the Sheriff of Babylon, which is not a superhero story at all, which is amazing. And what I've found with Tom King as a writer is that when he is writing an Elseworlds or his own work, I really love his stuff, right? Like Mr. Miracle, up until that moment, Mr. Miracle was kind of like, it was almost like an Elseworlds DC book. DC wasn't sure whether it was going to be part of the greater DC universe at that point, right?
Right.
And incredibly, Marvel did allow the Marvels to be considered part of the larger universe, didn't they? I'm pretty sure it was.
I'm pretty sure that that they are.
But like Adam Strange, the Adam Strange book he did was considered to be like an Elseworlds book. They have a label for it now. It's not DC Black, but something like that, right? And it kind of had to be in the end because of what he did with the characters. He also did Human Target, which was a really, really great book. I loved that. But again, this was kind of like a DC offshot book. So Tom King did Batman for the longest time, and I've tried to read his Batman run, but what I find is that he's so hampered by having to make sure that nothing he does ruins the status quo that I found it so kind of so benignly blank. Like I was reading it and I really thought that I was reading something that I wasn't reading his work. Like it was that kind of level of thing where I was like, well, it's not bad necessarily, but it's kind of generic. And I think that's the thing is that you have this situation where authors are trying to write a character, but they're held back by the studio, by the publisher who says, don't do anything big. You can't change it. Like, he couldn't have Batman come out and suddenly be like, everybody, I want you to know that I'm gay or something like that. You've been given the character, but you cannot change the character. And if the character does change, I get the sense that it's from like on high. You know what I mean? Like they come to the author and say, hey, we've decided that Batman's going to be a blonde from now on or something like that, So I hated reading the Tom King Batman run. I tried really hard to enjoy it, but I just did not enjoy it at all. In fact, I enjoyed... The further he got off the reservation was kind of the more I enjoyed it. So when I heard that he was doing a Wonder Woman run, I was curious. I was curious if this was going to be the same mess. But I like Tom King and I try to support him. So I ran out and got hold of the first volume that he did, which is it's just called Wonder Woman. It's part of the Dawn of DC iteration. They're always fucking rebooting their universe. So this is the Dawn of DC iteration of DC. And it's by Tom King. And then the artist is Danielle Sampier, I think. She's really good. And I wanted to say that up front because I know that the art is always important to you. She's very clean, very dynamic, does really nice frames, really good wide shots. I think I said to you at some point, she's like a cleaner Adam Hughes with not quite so much buxom, right? So the art is great. I don't have issues with the art whatsoever. But the Tom King story is kind of weird. I like the idea of it, but it feels very disjointed. So I don't know what the hell's going on with Dawn of DC, what sort of reboot this is. This does say Volume 1, though, so I am led to believe that I am at the first volume of this story. And there is the villain of this Wonder Woman run is a character named the Sovereign. And the Sovereign apparently is the king of the United States. But he's the secret king. Nobody knows that he's the king. But he's been the king all this time. And it's weird because I was kind of sitting there going, are you asking me to believe that Batman or no other superhero knows of the Sovereign? That, there are multiple military people who know him. And the thing is that the Sovereign has apparently the lasso of lies, which I guess is the counter weapon to the lasso of truth, which is what Wonder Woman has, right? So if you touch the lasso of lies, he can convince you to believe whatever it is that he's telling you, right? But I find a hard time believing that nobody knows about this guy. Like, that's the thing, when you find out there's some sort of huge mega villain, and you're like, nobody? Not even Batman? Like, you guys really go on and on and on of how Batman, like, finds out about everything. It's like, Batman didn't know about this guy at all? Not even, like, a rumor? So that part, I had a hard time starting with that notion. Is it me? I mean, do you see what I mean by that?
Yeah, not only that, but in the background, just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, what is Dawn of DC?
Yeah.
As you were speaking, I was listening. Yes, it makes no sense. But additionally, I read the entire Wikipedia entry for what Dawn of DC is, and I couldn't get within 20 miles of telling you what the fuck the point of it is.
It's a reboot.
I don't even understand what this is. Well, it is, but it's now that's been followed by DC All In. I don't know what that is either. I'm
and this is DC All Out. Now we're doing DC Up and Down, and now this is DC All Inclusive.
The only thing I can really make out of it is that the only difference between Dawn of DC and whatever was before is that the Justice League, I guess, was dead for a while. And they got resurrected. I don't know why, but they were dead.
But here's the thing. Now, this book doesn't even start with Wonder Woman. It starts in the future, where Trinity is now Wonder Woman, and Damian Wayne is now Batman, and I don't know who Superman's son is. Superman's son is Superman, right?
Oh yeah. I think it's Jonathan. He's named after the dad, John Kent. I think.
Okay, there you go. So yeah. So then, and essentially, what it is that Trinity is trying to find out about her birth, essentially.
Without thinking of the goddamn Matrix, it's so impossible.
I know. So we'll call her Wonder Trinity.
Like, I'm hearing the music where she jumps across the building every time you say that. Like,
no, we're gonna call her Wonder Trinity. Although let me tell you, Carrie Ann Moss wouldn't have made an incredible Wonder Woman, wouldn't she? Carrie Ann Moss.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, and the thing is, they used to say that she was like too thin, but now that Gal Gadot did it, there's no reason you can't believe that she could have done it. Absolutely.
Anyway, yeah. So Wonder Trinity breaks into this very, very important Amazonian prison with the help of Superman Jr. and Batman Jr. And goes in there because she wants to ask the Sovereign, who has been caught and who is in this prison, about the nature of her birth. And so the whole book this is one of the things I do like, is told from the point of view of the Sovereign. Now, I think I've had some time to think about it. I think this may be one of the ways to make up for the disjointed nature of the story, because if the whole story is being told from the point of view of the villain, maybe that's why it's as disjointed as it is, right? But then the problem is he's not consistent about it, because there are scenes that the Sovereign would never see. Do you know what I mean? So if the Sovereign is going to narrate the entire story, then you could only show us the things that the Sovereign would have been privy to.
Yeah.
But then there are sequences that the Sovereign would not be privy to. And I'm kind of sitting there going, well, what does that mean? You know, you're still narrating to some degree. Did you know about this? But this is, so there's an inconsistency there. And on top of that, I like most of the design of this book, but Batman Jr. has a weird fucking design of a suit. I think I sent you a picture of this too, where he's wearing like a weird trench coat. Now, I don't mind that it's a trench coat over the suit. Instead of like a cape, he's got a trench coat over the suit that's belted. I don't mind that.
Uh-huh.
But like the top of it is like all sorts of weird flare, and I can't tell what the collar is, or are the shoulders big, or what the fuck's going on. And I feel like it should have been like neater on the top.
But doesn't this strike you as having the same problem with the cape problem, except overdone? That surely someone will grab this clothing.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's belted on too, which is weird.
If he needs to, yeah, I was going to say, you can't just detach it the way Batman does with his cape.
No, you'd have to pop the belt. Yeah, well, I mean, this is Damian Wayne. Maybe they're showing you that he's not really all there. Anyway, so the whole story is supposedly told from the Sovereign. Now, from that point on...
Sorry, quick question.
Yeah. Yes.
Is Damian Wayne supposed to be messed up or something? I don't know anything about him.
Oh, Damian Wayne is so basically he's Batman and Talia's son.
So, that's
he was raised
all
by
I
the
know
League.
about him.
Yeah, he was raised by the League of Shadows. So in the
Okay.
beginning, he was like a total psychopath, and then he's
okay. So they're pulling
he
him
was
reverse
raised-
Azrael or whatever.
yeah. So he was raised by the League of Shadows. So when he first came to Batman, he was a total psychopath. But then over time, by being with Batman and Nightwing and Drake and he has slowly kind of cooled off. There was a really interesting Batman run was when Batman went away and Nightwing became Batman and Damian Wayne was his Robin. And this is
I think I did read one of those.
I think Grant Morrison.
Good.
I'm pretty sure that was Grant Morrison that did that run.
I think
and that
that's
was a
why
really
I
cool.
read it.
Yeah, and that was a really cool story because it was Nightwing trying to deal with being Batman, which he never wanted to be, and everybody being like, "Oh, Batman, you're so much friendlier than you used to be." But then also having Damian Wayne, a psychopath, as his Robin. And Damian Wayne, who's, he's the one that's like, well, maybe we should just kill him. And Nightwing's like, no, we're not fucking killing anybody, okay? And I think they went up against Red Hood. That was one of the earlier Red Hood stories. So it's like, so you've got poor Nightwing dealing with the fact that he has to be Batman for a while. And then he's up against his own Robin, who's like mostly helping him, kind of crazy. And then they go up against Red Hood, who's like, I'm going to just kill everybody. And so, like, it was a good storyline because, the Nightwing Batman had a lot of shit going on. And he couldn't necessarily kill his Robin, and he didn't want to kill Red Hood, but he couldn't, it was getting harder and harder for him to, like, keep the peace. It was a really fun book. I like that. But that is not this book. So, so it doesn't matter because honestly, after you see Damian Wayne, Batman Jr. and Superman Jr. at the beginning of the book, you never see him again. You never see him again in Volume 1. I'm so curious how this story completes itself because I started reading Volume 2 because Volume 1, nothing gets resolved in Volume 1, just so we're clear, right? This is supposed to be like a larger story, which I'm fine with, right? But nothing really gets resolved in Volume 1, except for the fact that the story starts with an Amazon is in a Midwestern bar, and somebody gets handsy with her. Now, you don't see what happens, but somebody gets handsy with her, right, in the bar, at which point she starts fighting.
Now,
And
just to be
other
clear,
people-
this is a random Amazon, or does this end up being somebody we know?
No, you know what? She knows. Her name is Emily. Wonder Woman knows who she is, but I don't know who she is.
All right. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
So in other words,
So there's an
it's not a
Amazon-
thing where there's an Amazon and then she was revealed to suddenly be Wonder Woman the whole time.
No.
It's not like that. Okay,
It is.
got
It is.
got it.
Yeah, she's a blonde. So there's this Amazon. She's in a bar. Somebody gets handsy with her. She breaks his hands or something like that. Then other guys get involved, and she proceeds to basically kill a bar full of guys, and didn't touch the women, but killed a bar full of guys in like a Midwest state, right? And this sets off some kind of weird, like, psychopathic thing where everyone's like, "Oh my god, an Amazon killed all these men!" And the Amazons, there are moments in this story that remind me of the Cory Doctorow story where Superman turns on the U.S., or at least he turns on the U.S. justice system for being corrupt. Because Wonder Woman's like, "Hey, I'm going to try and find out what this is about." But meanwhile, the sense you get is that the Sovereign is a massive chauvinist, hates the Amazons, and is trying to fuel this to get the Amazons out of the way. And he hates Wonder Woman because, why would we want a woman doing things like this? Ugh, right? So it's basically Wonder Woman versus overpowered misogyny. Now, I don't have a problem with that. That aspect of the story is interesting, right? I could see Wonder Woman as a fantastic target for misogyny and chauvinism because, she is Wonder Woman. She is, she is part of the trinity of heroes, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, right? She's incredible. So this sets off like a whole fucking issue of the U.S. president suddenly realizes that, maybe we aren't safe with Amazons and we should get Amazons out of the country. And it starts the sovereign is using kind of the political machine, the media machine to kind of trump up people's fears. And so it suddenly gets pushed that, you know what, we should get the Amazons out of the country. And so the U.S. government starts rounding up Amazons.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
You're telling me that an unelected individual who just happens to have wealth and influence is managing to convince the president to do something illegal. How can this happen in the U.S.? I'm sorry, this is completely unbelievable.
The way they present the sovereign, he has all this power, but like, because he's a character that's kind of come out of nowhere, I don't understand where his power comes from.
Yeah, because it's like... you know what the problem with a story like this is? Yeah. Already, right off the bat, stories like this have to have some kind of parallel that we can identify in real life, and I just don't feel like this one does so far.
Okay, now you're being an asshole. So anyway...
I've been being an asshole well before you realized I was being an asshole.
I know that, but the reality is that even in the book, it is weird.
Look, you used the word Trump, so you opened the door for me.
Oh, I know.
You may not have realized what you were doing there, but I did.
But it is weird that the sovereign, like, it goes back to what I was saying. The sovereign has as much power as he does, but you don't, like, he's a villain out of nowhere. It's like if all of a sudden Doctor Doom was just a thing. You know what I mean? And you were like, oh, but he's everywhere. You know, and it's like, you know, it's just very strange. Anyway, the sovereign is using the American political machine and makes it so that they start deporting. I don't know what years this is written, by the way, but it is funny. So they start deporting Amazons, but first they got to round them up. And the problem is that some of these Amazons don't particularly want to leave. And meanwhile, they're trying to find the actual Amazon that committed the murders in this bar, but they can't find her. So they start kicking Amazons out of the country. And inevitably, you know what's going to happen, which is that, you know, at some point or another, someone's going to fight back, because some of these Amazons have kids that they've adopted in the United States. Some of these Amazons are married, you know. So the U.S. government elects not a spy, but essentially one of their like super agents to deal with this, which is a guy named Steele. Is it John Steele? And I don't know him, but he's the perfect generic type for this. He's another misogynist. He has a metal hand. Honestly, he reminds me of in Inner Space, the bad guy who's got the hand that...
Isn't that the character in Peacemaker? The steel head guy?
I think
it is. I think it's a character with a steel, like, bullet head or something his name is.
His hand. He has a steel hand.
Oh, I thought you said head. Sorry.
No, hand that he can turn into a gun. It's like the guy from Inner Space. Yeah. So they hire him to kind of run all this. And he hates the Amazons, and he doesn't question orders. So at one point or another, they get an Amazon, and they're like, hey, we're deporting you. And she's like, you can't deport me. I have kids. And they're like, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. And she's like, you know, fuck you guys. And then they basically get out and they machine gun her. And what it is that they have prepared for this, and they now have advanced weaponry that can defy Amazonian armor. So your run-of-the-mill Amazon is no longer equipped to fight these groups. So now we've got dead Amazons. We've got Amazons being deported. And Wonder Woman is trying to figure out who you know, what is the start of all this. And so and they try to use what's his name? Oh, fucking Christ. I forgot his name now. What's the guy's name? The guy who's always Wonder Woman's man.
Oh, not Steve Rogers, but whatever.
Steve Rogers.
Steve. It is Steve something, though, isn't it?
What is his name? Oh, God, I can't remember it now.
Steve Gutenberg. What is his name?
I'm looking really quick through the book to see if I can find the scene with him.
No, I'll tell you.
Where he
Steve
talks
Trevor.
Steve Trevor. There you go. So Trevor.
I literally searched for Wonder Woman Steve. Bang! Steve Trevor comes right up.
So Trevor is. I don't know what his status in the DC world is, but essentially he works for the military. He's like in military intelligence, and he comes to her and he basically says, "Hey, yeah."
Yeah, apparently he's like a super soldier now because he's got a whole outfit and dual Desert Eagles in this image. Okay.
Well, in this book, listen, in this book, he does not fight. In this book, he's just a guy in uniform, and he basically says to Wonder Woman, hey, they're gunning for you, and they're going to, I can't do anything to help you. And but then what I mean is that there's these weird set pieces. So like you don't really know what's going on with Wonder Woman. You know that she's annoyed about this and she's kind of looking around. And then there's this big fight where all of a sudden she's like, it's like they're out in the Midwest somewhere. I think they're out in like Montana or something like that. And the U.S. government has like cornered Wonder Woman. And they've got this like giant military force. And Steve Trevor is there because Steel wants him there. And Trevor basically crosses the line and says to Wonder Woman, hey, they want you to give up and they're going to deport you. And she's like, I'm not fucking going with you guys. She's like, I have to investigate this. She's like, you guys don't tell me what to do. She's like, nobody tells me what to do. And the thing is, I actually really like Wonder Woman in this because she is such a, like, I'm used to Wonder Woman in previous Justice League books being the run-of-the-mill character. Like, she's always the one that's like, this is how we have to do it. You know, and it's kind of like in Kingdom Come, where the Wonder Woman, she only knew, you know, she couldn't conceive of another way of doing things. She can only conceive herself as being kind of the adversary to the other side. You know what I mean? And maybe that is, she's still like that to some extent in this, but I like the fact that she doesn't just kowtow to anybody actually in this, because even the Amazons are kind of annoyed with her at some point, and she kind of tells them, you know, what are you going to stop me? And so, you know, Trevor says to Steel, yeah, she's not coming with you. And Steel basically throws everything he can at Wonder Woman. And then you've got a huge action set piece. And then we arrive at one of the problems of this book, which is that how fucking powerful is Wonder Woman? Like, don't get me wrong, I know she's pretty powerful, but there have been times where she's like, you know, Captain America level powerful, and there's times where she's like Superman powerful. You know, like in the Suicide Squad game we played, she was near Superman level powerful. You know, so it's confusing because it's kind of like she's as powerful as she needs to be. I mean, literally, there's a part in this book where she lassos an Abrams tank and she starts swinging the tank around, crushing soldiers. And I'm kind of sitting there going, how strong is she? And this goes back to, I guess, the whole idea that I'm not sure what her power set is, but it's like the writer doesn't know what her power set either is. So it's like she gets more powerful as the story goes on, which we'll get to. So they throw everything at her, and she's a brilliant tactician, which she is, and so she kicks everybody's ass and makes the U.S. government look like an asshole because they can't stop her, right? Now, supposedly she's investigating this woman all along through all this, but you don't see it, right? So instead, the next story that you see is Wonder Woman being contacted by the family of a boy who's like, you know, it's like a Make-A-Wish Foundation, and basically he's like a #1 fan of Wonder Woman, and his Make-A-Wish is that he wants to spend a day with Wonder Woman before he dies, and so they contact her. So like, the whole U.S. government is looking for her. They're all pissed off at her. And the next story is that she shows up at this house of this boy, and his father, it's funny that his father is very like, you know, you weren't my first pick. He's like, I don't really understand this, but he's like, but this is what he wants. And, you know, he's dying, so he gets to pick what he wants, you know, and Wonder Woman takes this kid and you know, gets in the invisible jet with him, which I still love that she's got the invisible jet. And she says, what do you want to do? And he goes, I want to see your island. I want to see Themyscira? What do they call it? I can't pronounce that. Paradise.
Yeah, Themyscira is how...
Paradise Island, yeah.
Paradise Island is the other thing they call it, so sure.
Yeah, so she takes the kid to Paradise Island. And this is kind of... It's a weird... That's what I mean by the weird pacing of the story, is that all this shit's going on. She's supposed to be investigating what's going on. But honestly, you never see her investigate anything. Like, through the whole story, I never saw her investigating shit. She just showed up and beat the shit out of the government now and then. So... Then she goes with this kid, and she goes back to Paradise Island, and she shows up, and the Amazons are like, "Hey, we don't want him here. You know, he's male, and he's part of the U.S. He's a U.S. Resident, and we don't want him here." And the Wonder Woman says, "Hey, I go where I want. I'll kick your ass too." At which point she does, and they complain to the Queen, and the Queen says, "Hey, do you guys think I've ever had the ability to tell Wonder Woman what to do?" They're like, just let her be. And that's what happens. And she shows the kid around the island. And the kid has a very nice time. And at the end of it, there's kind of this sequence where he says, I do you think it's weird that I like you so much? And she goes, and sometimes I feel like I should like, Batman or Superman or somebody else. She's like, but I really like you, Wonder Woman. And she's like, yeah, you can. She's like, there's nothing wrong with that. So there's interesting messages in this book. I like the messaging a lot of the book, but the storytelling is just so inconsistent. And he has this line in there where he says, I think you'd make a really good mom. And she was like, I don't think so. She's like, could you imagine? And he almost says to her, like, I wish you were my mom, right? But he doesn't quite get there. So after that, we cut to the Sovereign, who's pissed off now, and basically tries to put together a Sinister Six. He's like, I'm going to hire all these people to basically try to trap Wonder Woman and beat the shit out of her. And so he gets this whole group of characters together. He gets Darkseid's daughter in there as well. And what's fascinating is that some of these people he bribes, some of these people he has shit on, and then some of them he essentially has to go get on one knee. Like Darkseid's daughter, he has to beg for assistance. And so the finale of volume 1 is that Steve Trevor contacts her, and when she goes to meet him, he's acting real weird, and she realizes that he's being mind controlled. At which point, what is it, Gigantor or whatever? It's the woman that can make it. She's like the Ant-Man of the DC world. She can make herself
Giganta.
Giganta, yeah. Giganta literally comes out of the ground, full size. And what's interesting is the Sovereign is narrating how they pulled this trick off, where they had to use magic to hide Giganta under the ground at full size. She had to be at full size when she started fighting, or else Wonder Woman would have found a way around it. And then you get another massive action set piece where everyone's like, we're gonna kick your ass, and Wonder Woman's like, no you aren't, and they just keep fighting, and they're throwing all these individual villains at her who together kind of can form a reasonable challenge, we'll say, right? And the finale of it is Giganta this is in DC. She literally rips the Washington Monument out of the ground and stabs Wonder Woman with drives it into the ground where Wonder Woman is, right? Now we get back to the whole, I'm not really sure what Wonder Woman's set of powers here is, right? Because she catches it and she throws it back at Giganta, knocking the shit out of her. At which point Darkseid's daughter shows up and they proceed to have this huge fight and basically beat each other to the ground, right? And the end of volume 1 is her beating up Darkseid's daughter, whose name I can never remember, and just barely surviving the incident. At which point you're not sure whether what happens at that point, because essentially that's where the book ends, right? Now for the first volume, right? Because I started reading the second volume, but I don't really want to get into it because it changes gears pretty heavily. But for the first volume, it's really inconsistent. I like Tom King, and I like when he has good ideas, they're great. But the plot, the plotting of the story feels very inconsistent. I don't know if the Sovereign is supposed to be the narrator all the way through. I don't understand Wonder Woman's power set. Does she literally have a responsive power set at this point where she just gets like Hulk, where it's I'll just get stronger as I need it? You know what I mean? Because she seems pretty fucking unstoppable in this book. Don't get me wrong, she takes a beating, but she keeps going. She's not Superman powerful, but she's pretty damn close. So it's it's really weird, and yet I like the way that essentially the Sovereign, his story is of him wanting to restore things to the way he thinks it should be, which is men on top, and there should be a king, and he is angry with the presence of the Amazons, and he wants to teach Wonder Woman a lesson, and he keeps failing at it because she's pretty wondrous. But it's built on such a strange, rickety platform, which is, who the fuck is the Sovereign again? Where did he come from? And the idea of the lasso of lies, where he uses the lasso of lies to convince people of his truth, I can see that as very powerful. But then I keep getting action set pieces. And I'm kind of sitting there going, this feels like this should have been a far more like detective espionage type story where people, you get people who are like true believers trying to crush the truth while Wonder Woman is trying to discover what actually happened. By the end of the first volume, like, we're no closer. I mean, we know that she knows who the murderer is, and we know that that Amazon may have been pregnant, right? But beyond that, that's all we know. We have no concept of why she did it, other than, men are pigs. And does the Sovereign just want to kill Wonder Woman? Does he just want to get all the Amazons out? It just feels like it. I like the idea of what King wanted to do, but I feel like he told a far more action story than I think the subject matter would have been good with. I feel like it should have been more like, like Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is a much more kind of, there's plenty of action, but it's a much more espionage type story up to a certain point. This is not that way. And yet there's a lot of like interesting conversations, different points of view. I mean, there's a lot of scenes with Wonder Woman talking to Steve Trevor where it's very interesting. Oh, and there is a sequence in there where, I almost forgot to mention it, where basically Wonder Woman has like three, I don't want to call them underlings, but everyone's got essentially their hero seconds at this point. So Wonder Woman has like three people who are almost like Wonder Woman light. They're her three Robins, right? And she specifically goes to them and says, I don't want you to help me. I don't want you to get involved in this. You're not technically Amazons. This doesn't pertain to you. And they basically say, well, by Amazonian law, we'll only listen if you can beat us in our choice of combat. So like right in the middle of everything else going on, when she's supposed to be investigating, but you never actually see her do, she has to fight her three underlings. And one of them is a archery challenge, another one's a strength challenge. And then the last one I did think was funny was that she tries to, I can't remember which one of it is, but she tries to beat Wonder Woman in video games because she's like, I've got to be better at this than you, and I never quite understand why Wonder Woman beats her. Like there's parts that like seem to happen because they have to, but there's interesting conceptual ideas all the way through, and yet the story structure feels inconsistent. And I feel like I said, they're trying to make it a series of big action set pieces when really I think this should have been far smaller and more focused on Wonder Woman trying to find the truth amidst adversity. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, not having read it, the whole thing about her being pursued but stopping for little stuff, that feels a little janky to me.
Well, it's almost like they lose her, and then while they've lost, I mean, she's Wonder Woman, so she can get away.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying about not having not read it. I don't know if they give a reason and it works. No,
I mean, does everyone know? Does she have a secret identity? Like,
oh yeah, okay. She used to. Don't forget, I haven't read any of the comics for these reboots and redos. She used to be Diana Prince was her human identity where she was working, Clark Kent style, and then she was Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't know if her secret identity works because the Sovereign seems to know who the fuck she is. So, like, I don't know how she's getting away. But other than that, the fact that, listen, if Batman wants to get away from people, Batman can usually get away, right? So I have to believe that Wonder Woman can get away. She can't. I think the thing that bugged me the most is the fact that she was supposed to be trying to find why this Amazon killed all these people in this bar. And I just feel like spends most of the book fighting the U.S. government, talking to Steve Trevor, and telling her friends not to help her. I never actually see her investigating. And the one realization you have about who this Amazon is, you get basically from while she's fighting all the American soldiers, she's thinking about in her youth when she fought like the greatest gladiator on Paradise Island, and it was this woman Emily. So you're like, okay, that's a connection, but where's the rest of the story? Like, I'm really, yeah, it's like if you were handed like a Dashiell Hammett detective story and it turned into John Wick for most of it. You know, where not Dashiell Hammett, what's his name? Sam Spade, where Sam Spade was investigating stuff, but rather than investigating, he talked about the fact he was going to investigate, and he just went on like a series of like gunfights throughout the book. So this is what I mean by like, there's things I like about it, but there's things I don't like about it. And I don't want to tell people that they shouldn't read it, because I feel like the things that are interesting and good about it are interesting enough that I think, you know, like, like, I don't know if it's worth spending money on, you know what I mean? But it is worth at least like giving it a read over if you can. Like, I almost have to create a class of like, this is a book that you should sit down in the bookstore and read, but I'm not sure if you should buy it. So, yeah, it's weird. And this goes back to the whole, when Tom King is allowed to do whatever he wants, he writes really great stories. When Tom King has to keep everything within whatever the publisher's modus operandi is, he's so hampered. So it's I don't want to say I was disappointed, but I wasn't happy. I don't know. Yeah, I know you haven't read it, so it's hard for you to make it.
I mean, it sounds sloppy, and so the question becomes, I think with something like this, ultimately what, because you finished this first volume, right?
I finished the first volume, which is called Outlaw.
So here I guess is the question: are you glad you read it?
I am glad I read it, in that I like the ideas that Tom King is throwing around. I just don't think that it is well executed.
But you're glad you read it.
Yeah, hold on. How much should I pay for this?
Oh, that's a good question too.
You know what? I don't think it was worth $20.
All right. Well, I
think it was worth like 10.
That is a not recommended at $20.
Yeah, I think it was worth like $10. And the thing is, like, I was hoping that I got the first and second volume, because sometimes I like the idea that it could be bad in the beginning, but then it kind of pulls itself up in like the second volume. This is like the whole fucking Star Trek Next Generation thing, where like, if you judge it on the first season alone, you're like, where it's like later on it gets really good. So I was hoping that the story would like really pick up, right? But I got to the second volume, and like I wasn't going to talk about it, but I will mention it briefly. It's more inconsistent than the first one. Like, you get into the second volume, and all of a sudden she's left Earth with Superman to go to like the intergalactic mall to find a birthday present for Batman. And I'm kind of like, okay, so there's all this shit going on with the Amazons, and you're investigating who the murderer is, but you have left Earth to go buy a present for Batman, and you and Superman are literally, the whole issue of that particular chapter is her hanging out in this intergalactic mall with Superman, and it gets almost like Douglas Adams. It almost gets like very Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy for a while there. Do you remember in Supergirl? What was that one that he did? Is it Woman of Tomorrow or something like that?
Yeah, I think it's Woman of Tomorrow. Yes.
Yeah. So in his Supergirl, the way he shows, Tom King shows space in that book. Space can be very sort of funny, like when they're at like a almost like a space bus station or some shit like that. Like, he has a funny way of writing about space. Well, the thing is, he brings that over, and I'm like, okay, well, I like the fact that you have a consistent vision of what space travel in the DC universe looks like. That's great. But the tone of it is completely fucking off from the rest of this book, where it's like, everyone in the United States is hunting for you, and they want to kill you, and they want to bring you in, and they want to crush you, and the sovereign wants to get you, and Amazons are being killed and thrown out of the country, and oh, I'm going on a shopping expedition with Superman because it's Batman's birthday. And I'm reading it, I'm like, how does this tie in? And the only way I get the sense that it ties in is it's trying to explain to you why Superman isn't helping her. That essentially, she doesn't think this is Superman's problem. She thinks it is her problem, and she doesn't want him to help. And he's kind of like, I can help you, right? He's like, we can help you. And she's like, well, this isn't your fight. She's like, I'll figure this out. And it just feels so... like, I really wonder if that whole chapter is just him. I mean, I enjoyed it as a story. Like, you said, did I enjoy reading it? I enjoyed it as a weird, quirky story about Superman and Wonder Woman going to an intergalactic mall to buy Batman a present. Like, as a short story, I would have delighted in it. But if I was reading these as comics, that coming out every week, I would have been fucking irritated because I would have been like, what's going on in the larger story here? Like, you've set all this shit up and now we're going shopping? Like, and that was the whole issue. I mean, these things, was it weekly or was it bi-weekly? Some of these just, a lot of the ones I read came out weekly. But if I was reading this on a weekly basis and I was waiting to see, the next issue, let's see what happens. And then I got this, I'd be like, okay, this is an interesting sort of one-off story, but I don't understand why we've left the original story for this. So yeah, I don't have, I'm going to finish the second volume because, like I said, I'm enjoying these kind of little things that he does. But the story, like, you said janky. It's very janky. It doesn't feel consistent. It doesn't feel like the tone doesn't feel consistent. There are strong messages in there, but they almost get lost because, there's just a lot of combat. Like, there's more action than I think you need. I mean, I feel like you're losing time for story because there's just so much action. It's like, great, I love Wonder Woman kicking the shit out of stuff. But here's the thing, Supergirl, is it Lady of Tomorrow or Woman of Tomorrow? I don't remember.
I believe it's Woman of Tomorrow.
Yeah, the Supergirl story is a great comparison to this because that book has tons of action, right? Tons of action. The story gets set up very early on. And even the concept of that book is very silly, which is that, it's essentially a True Grit, where Wonder Woman just happens to be off-world on the anniversary of the loss of Krypton, I think. And she's gone to a planet with a yellow sun so she can get drunk, right? And then she happens to meet this girl who's on a revenge, who's looking for the man who killed her father, right? You read all that and you're like, you know what? It sounds so silly, and yet it's a really great book, and there's a lot of, there is some action in that book, but a lot of that book is immense character building and having these two people together navigate all these situations. And it's like, I wanted that for Wonder Woman. I wanted this to be the book for me where Tom King really defined Wonder Woman. But in actuality, I feel reading this book so remote from her. She feels remote to the reader. You're being told about her from the point of view of a villain. And all you see is her pushing her friends away, wanting to fight everybody on her own. And it's like, it's a really, I mean, honestly, when you take a step back, like, it is kind of like a shitty vision of Wonder Woman. So yeah, it's the opposite of what I wanted, I think, really from, I wanted him to not humanize her, but I wanted to understand her as a character better. And what I've come to understand is that, she's far more alien than Superman. And maybe that's the message he wants to send across, where it's like, yeah, she's not human, guys. She was made from clay. She doesn't see the world the same way as others. But still, then you have these incredible moments where Superman and her are arguing, and he says, why are you so negative or something like that? And she goes, I'm not negative. She goes, Batman sees how bad things can be. And she goes, you see how good things can be. She goes, I see the reality. And I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. Like, that right there is a great statement about their relationship. Right? But then he doesn't get any more into it. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it's a bad review, right? Like,
well, if you feel like you paid for something that wasn't as entertaining as what you paid for it, then I'd have to say that you're not recommending it, at least not at that price.
I mean, like, if you can
this
read
is
it.
Like I say, some movies I'm like, yeah, okay, this is worth renting right away for $20, and others it's worth, $3.
If this was a movie, I'd tell you to rent it but not buy it. Like, this is the kind of thing where, like, if you're at a bookstore and you see this, give it a read. But I don't know if you should buy it, not full price. For $10, sure. And the thing is, I like Tom King, but this is holding up that idea that whenever he has to write a kind of core universe piece, right? I'm just gonna pass. Like, his Elseworld, because I mean, even the Supergirl story, I don't know if that's supposed to be canon, but because because she's kind of off in the far ass of the universe, like it almost feels like an Elseworld story, right? Because it's so individually about her. But he's not. He wasn't stuck doing anything for them. He did. It felt like he was allowed to play with the Supergirl character a little bit because no one really gives a shit about Supergirl. I hate to put it that way, but Supergirl is a character that's been so kind of abused by writers who don't give a crap. Whereas when he's writing one of the big three, when he's writing part of the Trinity, it's like people loved his Batman run, but I just found it so safe and boring. And it's like, this is the same thing now with this, where it's like, he's writing Wonder Woman. This should be amazing. And it's like, it's not, because they won't let him go off the reservation and do what he wants. I'm convinced that if they just let him write, I'm convinced that if he did like an Elseworlds Wonder Woman book, it would be incredible. But as it stands right now, it feels, like you said, janky. It feels like the messaging is inconsistent. The story feels off pace. Like, I almost want an explanation for why it is the way it is, and I guess that's bad. So that's Wonder Woman Outlaw, Volume 1. I don't think I can advise you to buy it, but I think you should definitely read it if you can read it for free, for some of the fascinating messaging therein. Thoughts?
No, I've already covered it. Having not read it, if you don't feel
but here's the
worth
thing.
Buying.
But here's the thing. Having talked about it, do you have any interest?
Well, okay. So, number one, there's more volumes after this, right? So it's not done, correct?
No, I don't think so, no.
Okay. So, if it's not completed, I have no thoughts. Right? Because if it's not done, then I don't know if it's going to shit the bed.
Yeah. So far, Volume 2 is not fixing any of the problems I had with Volume 1.
Okay, well, based on that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I me and getting into anything until it's over. Okay, I'll say this.
Yeah.
I don't care if the individual parts are. It has to pass any piece of entertainment.
Yeah.
Has to succeed in one of three areas for me to want to be interested in it. One, it has to be something unlike anything else, something weird, something different, something perplexing. I'll indulge in any of that. You know that. I've reviewed many movies that make no sense.
Yeah.
I've, I all kinds of stuff. I mean, it has to pass, I would say, the 65% good mark. There's exceptions, like the Warriors. The Warriors for a while was, and then the second part was like, whoa, wait a minute, this is not like the movie. This is, what the hell is this? And it went into a completely different area. Or it has to be, something that is a singular work that I don't care if one of the major pillars is a problem. That is different than being interesting. You know what I mean?
If you were handed this book weekly, right?
Yeah. I'll give you a perfect example. Here's the example.
It would feel so inconsistent.
You know the Alex Ross thing, Justice, that he did?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think that's that great a story. In fact, I think it's boring for the most part. However, the artwork is so exceptional, I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, listen, the art. If you see the art in this, the artist is very good. But the thing is, it's very good, but it's not like I'm not inspired by it. It's very good in that it's a very good artist. This is an exceptionally good working artist. But at no point was I looking at panels thinking, "Oh my god, that's breathtaking!" Like there's no Alex Ross shit going on here. She's, is it a man or a woman? Is it Danielle? I think it's a woman. This isn't Sam Keith where he's like revolutionizing the form of things. This isn't Alex Ross where
there's another great example. Actually, that's a better example. Like that Cypher story with Wolverine. That story is not good.
It's a dumb story, but watching Sam Keith do it. It's fucking crazy.
That is actually a better example.
Yeah.
And then the magic is the Max, where it's like, oh, this is a story. He was the only one who could tell the story.
Yeah, truly. Yeah. Could you imagine that book done by anybody else? You'd be like, what? Yeah.
No.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. Sure. If Sam Keith wrote that and Bisley did the art for it, I think he's the only person who could have done that other than Sam Keith. Because it would not have been as good. Yeah, there is a bridge between Bisley and Sam Keith.
There is, but it still wouldn't have been as good.
But it would have been far more aggressive and less aloof than Sam Keith.
Yeah, I think the Max would have come off more terrifying as opposed to sympathetic.
Him.
Like you really would be afraid that the Max was about to rape what's-her-face at any moment. Because
the look of it, physically.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He would be 4 times bigger than Sam Keith drew him.
Oh,
he would have
his
veins
shoulders would have been
out
humongous.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And he would be radiating testosterone out of every single dot on the page.
Did Bisley ever do the Max?
You would have to think so, right?
I'm looking. Hold on.
Max. Maybe.
I really want there to be an example of it now.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Hold on. I'm looking real quick. Did he ever do the Max?
Wait.
I don't think he did.
No, I don't think he did.
I don't think he ever did, no. Son of a bitch. That feels like a missed opportunity. Anyway.
I don't see anything. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's tough because, like I said, I like Tom King and I like the ideas that he's playing with. But like if I was reading this book, what? Did you find something?
No. Somebody, you know what? Here, by the way, is the ultimate indictment of AI-generated art. Some fool asked Stable Diffusion to create the Max in the style of Simon Bisley. Would you like to see what it came up with?
Please, by all means.
You sure the fuck would. Look at this.
What is this Crayola shit?
I will link this.
God.
Yeah.
This is like the Joker had like too many roids.
By the way, there's several of these, and they're all
awful.
In fact, wait, can I? Oh, oh my God, I can link to the whole page. Okay, here you go, everybody.
That's terrible.
You want to see why I'm not afraid of this stuff? This is why. This is what these people think is now art.
Oh my God. This is okay. This is. They can't believe this is good. This isn't even consistent. This is like computer error.
Well, because many of them generate multiple variants, so that's why there's like that.
God, that doesn't work.
I like the one where the headless Spider-Man is being dissolved. That's underneath. I don't know what that is. It's not this, but it's.
Here's the thing. So the art for Wonder Woman Outlaw is very good. Like it's very good, but there's nothing unique about it. I mean, you could have told me this was,
Sorry.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's kind of sad. I hate that, but like you have these artists that are very good, but because there is nothing. Like Frank Quitely, Frank Quitely's art when you see it. Art Adams' art when you see it. Sam Keith's art. Like there's these artists that have like a very specific look, right? But then there's artists like this where it's like she's very good, but if Adam Hughes had done this comic, it wouldn't have made any difference other than the fact that it would have been far more buxom. Like,
sure.
Yeah. So, and then like I said, the inconsistencies. There's lots of. If each individual book was kind of its own little mini short story, but as a larger story, it doesn't work. And I even like I like the idea, whereas like Wonder Woman first misogyny, but I don't think this is the way to tell it. So yeah, I hate this because I liked the book far more than before I started talking to you about it. But as I was explaining it, I realized that I don't. That sucks. I hate that. Yeah, that's a shame.
Well, I mean, on the other hand, this is what I'm saying about, until it's done, I don't really want to give an opinion because...
Well, yes, but as a collection, as a volume 1 of a book, it is presented to you as a volume 1 of a book.
Okay, all right. However, let's keep this in mind. As playing devil's avocado for a minute here, the other side of that, I can't pretend I came up with that joke. That's
no, I know, but it is good.
Parks and
Yeah,
Rec, whatever.
Yeah,
but 30 Rock. If you remember, the Authority is 80% the perfect fusion of story and art, and then it radically changes right after they brought in Art Adams, of all people, and then they went to somebody who perfectly competent but was at no point even near either Frank Whiteley or Art Adams,
I know.
and finished the book, which almost derails the whole book.
And the thing is, honestly, Authority ends in such not with a bang, but with a whimper kind of way, because they didn't know what to do with it. And also, Wildstorm, the publication, or the publisher itself, Wildstorm, was being dissolved at that point.
But here's the thing. I don't think it's a bad ending. Is it not the ending we probably anticipated? Sure, but it's not a bad ending. What really drags it down is that the artwork suddenly downgrades.
Yeah, honestly, and you know what drags it down worse? That DC then chewed them up and tried to spit them into the general DC universe these ultra watered down.
I don't care. I never read any of it. That doesn't exist. It doesn't matter if I didn't read it. So that part I don't care about. But this is what I'm saying is, you can have a part of the book in its totality that is lesser. If this thing ends up being, let's say, 5 volumes, and the first 2 are a mix, and then it finds its rhythm in 3, 4, and then has a great ending, you're not going to care about this anymore. Yes, right now, in isolation, it's a mixed bag. You wouldn't say it's awful, so if it was $5, you'd probably say,
here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm not adverse to finishing Volume 2, which I own, right? But I will not buy Volume 3. I will read Volume 3 in the bookstore.
and this is where I'm going with where you said now that you've talked to me about it, you feel worse. I wouldn't do that yet because it's not done.
No. But
this is my apprehension to going into anything unfinished is, will this experience of Volume 1 and 2 taint what comes later? Or if you read it all the way through, kind of like how some shows work as binge shows, some shows work as weekly shows. It's very hard to judge until they're done.
It just feels like all the connective tissue is missing. Like, you're giving me all the muscles
was the greatest show on the planet until it hit season 3 for most people, including my wife and I. And then we went, this is fucking done. And we were out. And based on everything I've read, I've never regretted bailing on season fucking 3 of the We Don't Know What We're Doing show. So fine with me. I'm glad that we bailed. This is why I don't start anything that isn't finished in general. So.
Well, there you go.
So my response is I don't know what to tell you.
I didn't think I was going to talk about this for as long as I did.
Well, I mean, it's good to break this down because I think what you're saying is this is not a simple review, and it's worth explaining why, because most reviews probably don't go into this depth.
Yeah, the thing is, I want a really good
and bad.
I want a really good Wonder Woman story because right now, for me, one of the best Wonder Woman stories I ever read was the Dead Earth one. That future post-apocalyptic one where the whole world is like destroyed and she reawakens from some kind of long sleep.
Was that the artist who did the Murder Falcon? Was that the same guy?
Oh, I think it might be. Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, I think it was. And that's what I'm saying about artwork.
And
really
listen, and here's the thing: Murder Falcon is still quite possibly my most favorite graphic novel of all time. So, and that guy, his art is his art style is very cool. I know him when I see him. And I like the way he writes. And luckily, he wrote a Transformers book, and I'm so afraid to read it.
I've seen the art for it. But yeah, I'm kind of like, I'd rather see just the artwork and not really read the story.
I'm afraid because it's the whole, does your stuff, does your writing hold up when you have to write for a publisher, or are your own stories so great because you can do what you want with them?
Is it done?
I think it's done now, actually.
Well, then I would look at some reviews and see what people say. See,
but I mean, like, done, I love
Yeah,
Murder Falcon. Yeah, if you haven't read Murder Falcon, you need to go out and get it. I know they just did like a really nice special edition.
And Thor.
Oh my God, Beta Ray Bill. Yeah, his Beta Ray. What is that book?
Not Thor.
It's is it Rebirth?
Actually,
what is that one called?
I don't think it's Rebirth, but it's something similar.
Hold on.
Beta Ray Bill Murder Falcon. That'll tell me. Well, it will. I mean, it'll tell me.
No, you're absolutely right.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just getting a lot of the artwork. Okay, here it is. That
Argent
one
Star.
is called...
Argent Star, I think it's called. Is it Argent Star? Hold on. I just tried to open the link, and it went to a dead page. Holy shit.
You know why? It doesn't have a title. It's just called Volume 1.
All right, Daniel Warren Johnson is his name.
Yeah. So it didn't have a title. That's why we couldn't.
Yeah, I love his art. It's very specific to him. I mean, we've said that there's almost...
You were correct. So even though they don't officially call it Argent Star, when you look at the issues, it says Argent Star is the story title, not the book's title. Jesus Christ. Okay. So if you look for Argent Star, you will find it, but technically it's just called Beta Ray Bill Volume 1 2021.
Yeah, I mean, that book is a great example. I mean, that's a great example of a book of a character being written in universe, but the writer being allowed to do what he wants with it. I mean, I would compare, if you want to talk about two books to read back to back, I would read the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow book that Tom King did, and then read the Beta Ray Bill book that Daniel Warren Johnson did. I mean, they're both really incredible space adventures. They really flesh out characters that haven't gotten enough time in the kind of their perspective universes. The art is well done for both of them. I think Warren Johnson's art is better. But they're both really great space stories in the larger universe. I mean, and that, honestly, that Daniel Warren Johnson has this way of just like kicking me right in like the I hate this phrase, but like kicking me right in the feels.
I knew you were going to fucking say that.
I hate that phrase, but that's the thing. Like there are these moments in his books where I'm like, oh man, like the end of Murder Falcon is one of those endings that both makes me immensely sad, but have like an immense sense of hope in the universe for how he does it. Like, and that's rare for me to have that kind of like it's this like joyful weeping almost. And in Beta Ray Bill, man, there's so many scenes in that book where you're just like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like when Sif realizes that Beta Ray Bill can't change back without the hammer and that he's just going to look like a monster. And she's basically like, yeah, this isn't going to work out. You feel so bad for Beta Ray Bill. Like I'm
sorry, sweetheart, but I simply cannot look at you anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's just the rejection of it is so horrible. And this character who is so noble, just getting the shit kicked out of him. And even at the end, I mean, the ending of it, it's another one of those moments where you're like, oh God, like it just gets you. You know, so yeah, Daniel Warren Johnson. I mean, I read his book. I read his book that he did that was all about, I think it's called Do a Superfly or something like that. It's this book that's all about wrestling, right? I mean, it is so absurd. They fucking wrestle God at one point in that book, right? It's so stupid. And yet, at the same time, you get to the end of that book and you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, my heart. Like, I feel it. Like, you know how to pull on my fucking heartstrings with what is otherwise so absurd a story. It's like intergalactic space religious wrestling. Like, I mean, but you know me, I'm a fan of the absurd, I guess. Yeah, I love it. I love the absurd shit. And his Beta Ray Bill book is probably one of his most under control ones, which says a lot about him. Yeah, I guess there's my review. Don't read Wonder Woman Outlaw. Read Supergirl, Tom King's Supergirl book instead. It does a better job of what I think he's trying to do in the Wonder Woman book. And if you haven't read Beta Ray Bill, Argent Star by Daniel Warren Johnson, you should read that because it's fucking awesome. I don't think I've read any of his books that I don't like, but I haven't read the Transformers one, so we'll have to see. I'll wait till that's completed and see what. But I mean, you like the art in Daniel Warren Johnson's art too, right? Don't you?
I absolutely do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I like his style.
I congratulate you, by the way.
What's that?
On giving me the show title. Lando has the feels.
I have the feels.
You sound like a young. Good for you.
I do. I get I feel it. I mean, how is it? Just that line? It's so cheesy, and yet there are times where it does. Does make sense.
I never use it. I just say it's an emotional gut punch. That's...
But that's the thing. I don't think that in the feels is an emotional gut punch. Because in the feels basically means that you felt something. Oh, whereas you didn't think you were going to.
An emotional punch. Emotional impact.
I know, but your interpretation is so violent.
Well, I mean, hits me in the feels isn't any less impactful.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess it's all combative language,
my
isn't it?
Feels. If they did, I could be like, yeah, okay, they use it. With
you know what? I'll say
Nobody
it from there.
I'll
say tickled my feels from now on.
Yeah,
tickled my feels.
Everybody uses the same term. It got me right in the feels.
It licked the cock of my feels. How about that? Does that work?
Licked the cockle of my feels?
It licked the cock. No, the cock. The fucking dick of my feels.
Hold on. The dick of... I'm changing the show title. The dick of my feels. That's... I mean, I don't know what SEO response is going to do for that, but it sounds great. It's fine with me. New show title, The Dick of My Feels. I mean, that sounds like a Da Vinci Code riddle or something. You know, where they put a black line onto the Mona Lisa and above it says, The Dick of My Feels. Sure. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, there you go. Yeah, it licks the dick of my feels.
Feelatio, I guess.
Emotionalatio? I don't even know.
No, I like feelatio. That's better with just two E's.
Feelatio. Feelatio kind of sounds like you're blowing yourself. I mean, emotionally.
Well, I mean, you're reading it. You're doing it to yourself. So.
You know what? I don't think that reading a book is psychologically fellatio.
I disagree.
You know what? I think writing a book and getting off it, I think that's fellatio. Like you drawing a picture and being like, oh yeah, that's so good. That's fellatio. But, we can agree to disagree.
Tomato.
Exactly. Tomato.
As a not as long and not actually a review, but more of a, hey, this is actually really good, no surprise type of thing. I mentioned, I think to you, but not on the show, that I purchased Atomfall, the British Fallout.
Oh, yeah. The people who do Sniper Elite.
Yeah, the Rebellion folks, which they haven't gotten much better at facial animation, I will say that. But this really, for anybody who wants another Fallout, just buy this. It's Fallout. I mean, there are bunkers that you explore, right? There's a nuclear reactor that had a problem. You can see it. Now, it's not nuclear war. It's contained. But so is any Fallout game if you just don't look at the outlying story. You're only in one place. You're not journeying the planet. So
yeah, how big is the map in that game?
Well, I haven't explored all of it, but it's pretty big as far as I could tell. It's like a countryside, like a whole province, I guess you would say. It's pretty big. It seems big. It's hard to say, though, because it's not like you just go from one side right to the other. Like, as far as I can tell, there's no way to just traverse the map from one point to another.
It's open world, though, isn't it?
It is open world, but it's not laid out as just a flat map.
Okay.
So, because like I said, there's bunkers, there's these contained areas. Like, one place has been taken over by a military unit that got stuck when whatever the incident was happened. And so they basically enacted martial law within a small township and put these walls up. So it is open world in that you can go anywhere you want. You can progress any way you want. In fact, I've made the mistake of wandering into places I shouldn't have really quick. But as far as it isn't like, say, Fallout 4 or Fallout 76, where you can just walk from one side straight to the other. It's not laid out that way. It has these specific areas that are more dangerous, less dangerous. Some have bandits or outlaws. There's druids that have enacted like a cult area. There's the protocol, which is this rogue military unit. There's the regular military, which is somehow separate from the protocol folks, because I think they're staying out of it, but you still see them occasionally. But essentially, it's okay, imagine Fallout 76 referred to a year like Fallout 1976. This is Fallout 66. It's in the 60s. This has happened in the 60s.
Oh, that's funny. What's the title again?
Atomfall. ATOMFALL. Oh, it looks like The Prisoner. It feels like The Prisoner. And Doctor Who and Fallout all got mixed together.
Oh my god, it looks like Sniper Elite.
That's what I'm saying. So the landscapes are magnificent.
I'm looking at the map. Yeah.
Oh no, it looks exceptional. Like it's very good. Outside of there's been some glitches. It's new, so I don't really care. There's some things that the people who get wound up about this stuff will.
Can you hit people with a mace? That looks like fun.
I haven't found one yet, but as you would expect, I'm sticking to the guns because I'm better with them.
Oh, how are there? Are there sniper rifles?
I wish there was X-ray vision, but at this point I'm pretty early on because I'm really still getting a feel for how everything works. The combat is interesting because it's clear that they couldn't just make Sniper Elite with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This has to be more varied, and it's very clear. Okay. In the Sniper Elite games, when you are reduced to close quarters combat, it's not great. It's generally panic. Yeah. That lesson applies here. If you are calculated, it feels very smooth. The minute things get a little out of control, especially if you have to switch weapons, I have accidentally fired because I was trying to check what I had more times than I'd like to say. Which is a problem early on when the ammo is low. So I've had to reload literally because I accidentally fired into the ground trying to switch a gun. A lot.
Yeah.
So there is that. But now that I've got the controls kind of figured out, the world itself is really interesting because it's British. So it is Fallout with a British flavor into it. As I told you, there's things I don't understand. Like they refer, a lot of them talk about boffins, which I guess must be a word for idiots let's see. What is boffins? Which I assume is double F, BOFFINS. What does boffins mean?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Boffin is a British slang term for a science.
It looks
really
good.
Really, a boffin is an engineer? I would not have inferred that from the context. Okay.
Wow,
I guess that. Oh, okay.
Is there a medieval slant to this where people are dressed almost medieval?
No, it's 60, so it's almost like there is a Wicker Man in it. I've seen images of it. It's like the Wicker Man, so it's very provincial. The word, it's very
yes.
like
There's a lot of countryside. Yeah,
it's like a Led Zeppelin video. A lot of time, there's a lot of greenery and people with really outrageous and ostentatious facial hair. And, I met a witch, I think. I don't think she's a real witch, but she's she's almost like a wood nymph type.
Yeah.
Her name's like Mother something, and she's out in the middle of the woods where she's connecting to nature, and she can give you tonics and stuff.
Oh,
and she's
I see what you mean by the face sculpts. Yeah. They're still bad.
I would say they're better than Sniper Elite, but not on the level of, I don't know, Death Stranding, say. But that's okay. I don't care.
This woman, Iris Baxter, looks like Gollum.
Yeah, some of them, and I don't know if they're supposed to look like that because of what's going on, because there are, okay, so I believe
I
in
like
Fallout,
the robots, though. The big robots.
Yeah, the robots are very electric state looking. But again, this is supposed to be 60s, so it's very kind of diesel punk type stuff. But here's a perfect example of when I knew this was just Fallout, but Britain, which I'm not even saying is a criticism. I went into one of these bunkers.
You like Fallout, so it makes sense.
I love Fallout. I love it. I'm having a blast with this thing. So I went into one of these bunkers, because you can go to one early on. And I'm going in there, and I'm walking around, and I come around the corner, and I see something at the end of the hall. I sort of creep up to it, because there is stealth, to a degree. And I came up to it, and I'm like, Now, I don't remember if it was Fallout New Vegas or 3, but one of them has a vault that you're sent to investigate. I'm pretty sure it's New Vegas because I seem to remember it was from the McCarran Air Force Base.
There's your Wicker Man. Okay.
Yeah. So you're sent to this vault to find out what happened because they were experimenting with how to increase food production. And when you get to the vault, immediately when you get there, it looks very much like this game where everything is very green and overgrown. And you're like, okay, there's like giant mosquitoes and grasshoppers. And then when you get inside the vault, they had released some chemical. And what it did was it created garden people. Like they're all green and they're like feral and they're kind of crouched inside the plants. But if you look carefully, you can see them and then they'll attack you. But they're basically feral plant people. That's what they are. In this game, I'm in the bunker and I see a creature, and it's a creature inside a wall of vines that is sort of merged with it. And the only difference between these ferals, which is what they're called, and the plant people from Fallout is they're purple here and they were green in Fallout. That is the only difference. Otherwise, these are the plant people. So again, I'm not saying this is a criticism. In fact, this is good because this is a narrative-driven British. This is Fallout New Wind Scale because the Wind Scale disaster, I believe, is a real British chemical accident. I don't know. It was a real thing. And this is based on that. The Wind Scale fire of 1957 was the worst nuclear accident in the United Kingdom's history, ranked at a severity level 5 out of 7 on the International Nuclear Event Scale. There's something I didn't know existed. Holy shit. So there was a fire, burned for 3 days. There was radiation release that came out. I guess it wasn't as bad as Chernobyl, but they still had to evacuate. They had to basically tell people not to drink anything. It was that type of thing.
Yeah.
It's still actually apparently current where there's discharges, but they've now reduced so much that it doesn't matter anymore.
I do love the fact that you can kick people and then reload and shoot them.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, there's actually a whole skill thing that the kick will actually hurt them more and make them more off balance. But anyway, I'm probably 4 or 5 hours into it, and I'm really, most of that has been just exploring. But for people who don't want to wait, because I don't know when Fallout 5's coming, it's going to be at least 5 or 6 years. So if you don't want to wait, this is a perfectly this feels in many ways.
Did you get a bow and arrow yet?
I just found the bow. When I saw the
it's gonna be the middle ground between what is it? What was the game you always used the bow?
Far Cry. Oh yeah,
Far Cry.
No,
it's gonna be, yeah.
I ran across these two people and I heard a noise and I'm like, man, I wish that was a goddamn bow and arrow because I didn't know there were bow and arrows. But I'm like,
if
only this was a bow and arrow. And then when I went and I rummaged the body, I'm like, holy shit, it's a fucking bow and arrow. And not the fuck only is it a bow and arrow, which I love, but just like in Far Cry, if you shoot the arrow and you find
you can go get them.
Get the fucking thing back. So it's infinite goddamn ammo. Oh, I'm so delighted. I just found that before I stopped playing the last time. So now I want to go back into that earlier bunker where I found the ferals because they started really killing me. And I want to see if I can long fucking headshot those pieces of shit with the bow and arrow. Because if I can,
oh wow,
this game is now mine.
Apparently there's a glitch where if you're up a ladder and there's a bunch of guys trying to get you, they'll go up the ladder one at a time and you can just whack them as they come up.
Oh, that's adorable. Good.
I listen, the graphics, I mean, the landscape looks incredible.
The landscape's great because that is their strength. But even the people, the animation is... It's not bad. It's not at the level, because I think the Sniper Elite games are a step down. I think that's even less of a concern for them. In this one, because you're talking to so many people, I think they put more effort into it, and I think it's fine. I really do. I don't think it's bad. It's still a little stiff. It doesn't look photorealistic, but the landscape does. And the thing is, for me, now there may be a different feel to people who are British, but the fact that there are no Americans in this, the fact that they are speaking with no effort to Americanize it, like they are saying things that I'm sure to British or anybody who speaks and lives around Europe or whatever, many of the things they're saying probably are common sayings, but they're not to me, but they don't sit there and explain it. to make it so that the Americans know what's going on.
Dude.
They just did a British Fallout.
I'm loving these top hats with the feathers.
Oh yeah, those are the Outlaws, I think. Yeah, yeah, they're like Warriors escapees. They're great.
But you almost look like it's your main character almost looks a bit Assassin's Creed-ish.
Yeah, which I haven't actually seen myself anywhere yet, so I haven't had a look at the main character.
Oh, so it's all first person. There's no third.
Oh,
person.
it's all for no. It's
okay.
If there was a third person ability, I haven't seen it. I've not stumbled across it. It's all first person. So I mean, I spent the first, I would say, hour just stalking a whole group of people and stealth killing them all, because I wanted to see how it would work, and it was great. It was fantastic. So I'm having a really good time with it.
I'm just sad it's not co-op.
Oh, I know.
I
know. I'm with you, because it would be really interesting.
Oh my God! Look at this facial hair. Yep.
Oh yeah. There's the one guy who you ran through earlier.
Safari mustache.
That's it. That's probably the same guy. I don't remember what his name is, but he's like, "Oh, I shouldn't be talking to strangers." He's like, I mean, I can't do an accent, but he's doing it. And like I said, for anybody who's really just, especially those who really got burned by 76, which I wasn't one of them, but I know there are people who really want that first-person narrative-driven thing. And you do have the option to be a total monster. You can just, murder everybody, as far as I can tell. So I don't know if you can literally kill everyone in the game, but I tested out just killing what seemed like major characters. The game didn't stop me. I would assume that the certain branches of the story, I didn't do it. I went back and I was a nice guy, because I am. But it feels like there's no Fallout 5, so we're going to do it, but we can't legally call it Fallout, so we did this. And so far, it's a blast, and it feels like, in a way I didn't really think about, because the Fallout games, when the war happens, there was that deviated timeline where the elements of the culture were still 50s, 60s, but the technology had advanced because of the nuclear power. Whereas in this, that advancement didn't happen. So everything you're using a cricket bat, you're using a rusty gun, you're using a literal just normal bow and arrow that people of the time probably were using. So it does feel like a period piece of Fallout. Unlike, because a Fallout game set in the 60s would be the same as any other Fallout game. There's no difference, because the technology had been advancing, assuming that nuclear power was relatively safe, that the only danger was the warheads, but everything else was being driven forward at an accelerated rate, because they had radioactive and nuclear power. Whereas in this, it is of its era, and everything is that way. So it also is just like the actual people and the way they relate to things. Like there's no cell phones, there's no, there is electricity, of course. It is the 60s, but everything is like old radios that, and still like turntables, no cassettes, no, nuclear powered cars on the streets that you could blow up. You know what I mean? All that stuff is not there. So it very much feels like, again, the things I kept thinking about were The Prisoner, Doctor Who, Sapphire and Steel, like that kind of thing. And it's a really specific kind of feeling.
Oh, I've never seen that series, but I've heard about it.
Oh, you should watch it. It's great. It's very good. I think they just dumped a bunch of it on YouTube, as a matter of fact, if I remember.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, because they've been playing a lot of old Doctor Who on YouTube lately. I've been watching it. It's just like, oh yeah, all right, I'll watch this shit. Yeah, why not? And yeah, I think they just put a bunch of it on YouTube. You should watch it. It's good. I mean, it's David,
Joanne Lumley, right?
Yes, Joanne Lumley and David McCullum are the Joanne Lumley is Sapphire. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Lumley. All right.
Yeah, it's sort of a proto X-Files, but with so much Britishness. It's great. It's very good. But yeah, anybody who hasn't seen Sapphire and Steel really should. I think it was something that a lot of Americans didn't know about for a long time, but it is, yeah, and it feels like this. And they're considered interdimensional operatives. So, and it's got like, Sapphire and Steel has something to do, I don't remember all of it, but it was like disrupting the timeline. So there is a very Doctor Who, but without all of the overt alienness, it's more supernatural. than anything else. There's a lot of ghosts and stuff like that. So
I've been watching the season 1 of the new Doctor.
Yeah, how you think?
Probably about halfway through it, and it's weird. I see. I never had a problem with the female Doctor, but my wife and my daughter didn't like her. God, I'm gonna tell you something terrible.
There we go.
Yeah, so my father-in-law, who is British, because my wife is British, he didn't know that the Americans had tried to do a Doctor Who, right? So I was explaining to him, because he didn't, because Eccleston just took off where it was. He never really questioned it. He thought that Eccleston came off of McCoy. So he's an old gentleman, and I was explaining to him. I was like, no, there was a TV movie that they did in Fox.
So he didn't know about any of the in between stuff.
Yeah, none of that, right? So we were talking. So we were talking about the various different Doctors, right? And I was saying how I'd recently been watching I'm just going to call him the Black Doctor, just for ease, because I can't remember his name. And I was saying how I was explaining to him how we had stopped watching the female Doctor before we finished her run. And I had said how I didn't have a problem with her. And it's one of those things where I was saying that there's a lot of Doctors that I like them as the character, but their stories aren't great. So like I like Capaldi, but a lot of Capaldi's episodes aren't that great. But I like Capaldi as the Doctor. I just wish she had better writing. And the female Doctor is kind of like, oh God, I can't remember her name. I like her as the Doctor. It's a very different take. But, the writing isn't always consistent. It just isn't. I really liked a lot of the Matt Smith run. For some reason, that jived with me, and I really liked it. But I was explaining to my father-in-law how it was my wife and my daughter that were like, yeah, we don't like her, and we want to stop watching her. And he looked at me and he goes, isn't that always the way? And I was like, oh, Jesus. I was like, I was not expecting that, like that commentary. Where it's like, yeah, it's always the way it is. I'm like, okay. I mean, my son and I didn't have a problem with her. But yeah, my daughter was the first person to be like, yeah, I don't like her. And then my wife was like, you know what? She just doesn't come off as smart as the other Doctors. And I was like, I was trying to parse that. If that was like I don't know. I don't think I can parse it, because I think there's like an innate sexism built into all of this, that like it's such a quagmire minefield to even examine. Thoughts? Feelings?
Well, I mean, okay. I want to say this carefully. No, because this goes into my normal mental positioning of, I can only speak from my own perspective, and I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a woman. I've never been a woman.
Nope.
I've been pretty much myself for a very long time.
Yep, most of the time.
Now, I am aware of and have seen firsthand examples of this thing that I truly, as a man, do not understand, which is the women who don't like other women for vague or non-existent reasons thing. And the reason it doesn't make sense to me, and maybe this is a sexist mindset, maybe this is my own just inability to comprehend a radically different existence in the world, is I default, and I think you're probably somewhat like this, I default to thinking that women are better than men. And when I say better, I just mean...
listen, I by and large think that, women are...
Yeah, generally. Obviously, there's exceptions and everybody's individual. Like, I get all that. That's why I'm saying I'm trying to structure this answer carefully.
I can't create people. I think that I had that moment where I was
not only just that, but I think to myself, and perhaps this is naive of me, that if I were part of a group of people who had long been oppressed in multiple ways, that you'd be more supportive. Exactly.
Yeah. But you know what? But my wife explained this to me. Like, so she was talking about high school, right?
Oh, good.
And she was like, in high school, she's like, guys can be really shitty to each other. She's like, but guys by and large pack. Like, they tend to look for buddies, right? If they can. And she was like, and girls tend to rip each other apart. Like, even friends sometimes. Like, she was saying how, like, women can be really, really catty.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, that's the thing I don't get.
It's weird. Like, why be that way?
Well, but then, and again, this is me playing at like I'm a psychologist or something, which I certainly the fuck am not. But I sit there and go, is it because women have been socialized to be basically like alphas so that men will want them because they are valued by men, and that's the way society has been structured? And so is this not really their actual inherent, if you think about it.
You're saying there's an inherent cattiness to tear each other down because, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, okay. No. So women
I'm not saying you're wrong
largely,
either because I'm not sure, but there is,
Well, I think that for most of the time that we've been aware of these things, women have been valued basically on their desirability. That is not a value judgment.
Their ability,
that's the way that society has judged
how much
women.
wealth is behind them or how good they look or whether they can bear children. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know if those things, because then you have to get into, okay, how were they raised? What were the values?
Yeah.
How were they told they had to behave? Is that all a function of it? And I don't know. So in a vacuum, I sit there and go, how could women ever be against each other? But that's in a vacuum as a guy. I don't know.
But as the female doctor, I will say this, right? So do you know about the black female doctor, the rebel doctor?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember reading about it, yeah.
She is I will admit, she is so much more an interesting character than the female doctor. That I almost feel like for me personally, I feel like they almost shortchanged themselves because you're like, well, I'm with this doctor and she's cool and all, but like that doctor was so much cooler.
Well, and I have a theory about this.
Yeah.
As far as that exact thing. Because when I was reading about that, many people said the same thing, is why isn't she the doctor? And my immediate thought was, there is no way. No chance in hell or anywhere else in the fucking universe that they were going to make their first female doctor a black woman. Because if you think that's a hill that's going to be tall to begin with, forget it.
Yeah, you're saying that. Yeah.
Would you even want that role with the shit that goes on in far as response
honestly,
to
she was
this
great
bullshit
like,
and everything?
I loved her in the show, and I loved like when she. I
but
wanted her to stick around.
Was the shield for her to come in.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that like. I was very happy. I can't remember her name. And so we're watching the new doctor, the black doctor, because I can't remember his name either. And the thing is, the show is different. He's a far more emotional doctor. My daughter actually said to me the other day, he cries a lot. And I'm like, well, I mean, if you had the entire weight of the universe on you, you might cry. He's far more emotional a doctor. But I do like the fact that, he has no costume. I actually really appreciate that. The fact that
I'm all with that. Yeah.
There's no costume gimmick. He just fucking puts on whatever the fuck he feels like it. That's great. His hair changes as well, which like when they go back to
that's great.
Yeah, his hair changes. So I actually like the fact that the character is more fluid now and that he can change the way he is. I don't need all the musicals. That it's a much more musical show this season. Yeah. I'm actually hoping that does go away. But otherwise, I just watched an episode that was written by who's the guy who wrote like all of the Matt Smith stuff?
Oh man, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, it's not Russell.
It's a very British name, and I can't think of his name.
Yeah, he took over. He took over after Russell T Davies. So the guy who wrote all the Matt Smith episodes. He's the guy who kind of created the Weeping Angels. So I just saw the episode of the new Doctor that is written by him, right? And it was such a weird, interesting episode about like a future where most of the ammunitions and war technology is built by this one company. And the company's figured out that if it can keep people at a certain level of damage, necessarily like a certain body count, they'll just keep buying more products from this company. And so when the Doctor lands on this one planet with his assistant, and he steps on a mine, and he's like, shit, like, what's going on here? He realizes that the people who set the mine, who are like a religious order of like military, they're not fighting anybody. There's nobody there. They're literally fighting themselves because the corporation has figured out how to keep people sort of endlessly deployed against a shadowy enemy. So the enemy that they think they're fighting doesn't exist. They've really just been wounding themselves enough that the corporation can keep selling them products. And I was like, wow, I was like, that is an incredibly, the incredible statement of an episode. Like the writing on that is so, there's such a strange sort of ironic message about that. And I really enjoyed it. And it still had its cheesy points, like all Doctor Who. But it was fascinating. And I was like, okay, you know what? I find that the biggest problem is that you need a writer to know how to execute a Doctor right. And I feel like the showrunners for the female Doctor, I just wish they'd had different writers, because there were times where she was great. Like when Harkness showed up and she was running around with Harkness, that was a really fun run with the two of them, like that dynamic, So, but yeah, I am enjoying the new run of Doctor Who. I do think that, it's interesting to see the amount of money that Disney is throwing around with this. And I'll be very curious at what point they have a multi-Doctor special, because I just realized that, you've got Tennant and you've got, Eccleston will never show up, but you still got Eccleston, Tennant.
He's doing the audio stuff now, so he might.
Is he?
If a different, yeah, he is. No, he's been doing it with.
No, because the showrunner is Russell T Davies, and he's never working with Russell T Davies.
Well,
so
okay, but if they bring in a different person just to do that special,
but even beyond that, you still got Tennant, Matt Smith.
I agree.
You got the female Doctor. You got Capaldi.
I don't think it's as impossible as it would have been.
You could do a really cool 5-Doctor special. Sure. And the thing is, like, when they did Matt Smith and Tennant with
stuff?
with what's his name, the War Doctor, the War Doctor,
it's War Doctor John Hurt.
Yeah, you realize that Matt Smith and Tennant were not that far off from each other.
No, at all.
That they're actually like very close shades
more like
of each other
than anything else.
Yeah, they're very well. Even the way that the way they dress, the way they're presented, they're very close shades of each other.
That's what I'm saying.
Whereas
I
would find it interesting to have them up against Capaldi, who was a very different Doctor. The female Doctor was very different, and the current Doctor is very different. And honestly, you can have 2 Tennants, because there's 2 fucking Tennant Doctors. There's the older one and the younger one.
Know, but
who have slightly different personalities. So they are different entities. They're not the same person.
I know, but it's I don't know.
I mean, you could have a really weird meetup of all these fucking Doctors in a special.
Oh yeah, you could.
It wouldn't be the first time Tennant played 2 Doctors either, because there's the human hybrid Doctor that he left in the other universe with Rose. This weird shit. But yes, I just wanted to say that I've been watching the new Doctor and I enjoy it. I think I enjoy it more than my kids, though. I think my son enjoys it, but yeah, I don't think my daughter ever got over Matt Smith leaving. I think she really liked Matt Smith. Matt Smith was like her Doctor. I think she's having a hard time kind of moving on from there.
Oh, that's not a new phenomenon. It's people who are
no,
like,
it's not. No, because listen, I loved Eccleston, and it took me a little bit to warm to Tennant. And then you get, and for me, it's like, well, I warmed to Tennant, and then it's like, oh, then we got Matt Smith, and I was like, okay. But I think for me personally, I also love Matt Smith. I think for me that is the closest to like peak Doctor for now. For me, which I know, like he wasn't out that way for you. You weren't a huge. No. I think you're more. Well, you're more classic, right? I mean, there has been nothing that has come anywhere close to either Tom Baker or, oh God, I can't think of his name, Peter Davison. Like those two are the top of it. I like some of what Colin Baker did,
There's some really awful stories, but there's some very good stories. I like a lot of the second season of Sylvester McCoy. I think there's some actually really good stuff there. I don't really care about the earlier stuff before that. I don't care about Hartnell or whoever the second guy was, whose name I can't remember now, and then Pertwee. Like, I don't care. I've watched some of it. It's complete static to me. It's just like, oh, this is Doctor Who, I guess, but I don't have any attachment to it.
Well, honestly, it'll be really, really interesting if they do decide to do stuff with, was it the Seventh Doctor? Because there's rumor that they want to do
McCoy?
No, not McCoy.
McCoy
was
7.
The Fox
Colin
Doctor.
6.
Oh, no, the Fox Doctor. The Fox.
Oh,
movie
you mean
Doctor.
oh god, what's his name? Peter McGann?
Yeah, I can't remember. What's that?
McGann? No, what's his name?
Yeah, Paul McGann. There you go. Yeah,
Paul
so
McGann,
there
not
is
Peter. Paul
there
McGann.
is rumor that Disney wants to do like a Paul McGann run.
That'd be great. Why not?
And
I'm
curious to see if they do that.
So why not?
Well, yeah, because I mean, he did it for years in the radio show, so his doctor has a personality.
Yeah, and he's never had any ill will towards not.
No,
going
he's
further. He's always said
he's
in for
a
it.
good actor. Every time I've seen him in shit, I've enjoyed him. So,
I mean, ideally they'd bring in they'd have Withnail and I reunion where they're both doctors somehow. I'm fine with that too. I mean, the Richard Grant thing he played it as a joke, but it's almost like, oh yeah, why not make Richard Grant an unknown doctor? Why, and then have the two of them in the show together? That'd be great.
Well, that's the thing. The female doctor basically paved the way open for the fact that the doctor has endless regenerations, and there may be multiple entities of the doctor at some point in history. That's a weird thing to unleash.
Yeah, I don't like that, I'll be honest. I wish they had just had this doctor die and then start over with a new one. Who, one that he inspired or an offshoot of his that still had limited, They could have done it. But
yeah, we'll see.
That's all what-if-isms, and they're not going that route, and that's okay. It's not for me. That's fine.
Well.
Like many things in life, it's just not for me anymore. That's okay. I still have the old stuff to watch. I don't get bitter about it. I'm just like, yeah, okay.
Oh, no. Hey, listen, I'm just happy to have entertainment.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm rooting for everybody. I just want it to be good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
But speaking of things being good.
You shut the fuck up!
That's right. Lando and I watched a movie again.
Oh, man. I'm a boof.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
every time you play that.
Can't beat that.
No, I can't. Every time you play that, I can't keep a straight face because it is just so funny.
No,
the desperation.
It truly is one of those evergreen clips that's never not going to be used for something.
And it's terrible. I mean, I feel bad bringing it up every time, but the degree to which that movie still occupies space in my mind baffles me.
Yeah, I thought of it I think within the last 2 or 3 days. I thought of something and I'm like, what's that from? Oh, that's from Metropolis. That's right.
Yeah. And you're like, Jesus, like for what we thought was going to be a total, like, I don't know. It ended up being so much more than what I thought it was going to be. And it's still there, floating around.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyway, that's not what we watched. We watched something else.
No, we watched a movie I have long heard of. For whatever reason, never saw it. Somehow, because it's in the Criterion Collection, so it's amazing I haven't watched this yet. But for whatever reason, I haven't. But I mean, I haven't seen Police Story 3 either, and that's another one that I keep hearing. No, you must watch Police Story 3. So I guess there's just these movies. I haven't seen them all. But anyway, it popped up 2-3 weeks ago. Again, I saw somebody talking about the Heroic Trio and why it's so great, and I thought, you know what? I was sure that you would have seen it. I was like, well, he'll have seen it because he watched more of this stuff than I did when he was younger. So I was like, oh, Lando will have seen it.
And the thing is, like, I've been thinking about that for a while, and I think that I may have seen clips from this many, many years ago because I remember the girl, they're all 3 girls. I remember the woman, the masked woman.
Okay.
But
I feel like I've seen clips of the masked woman too, but I know I haven't seen the movie.
But I haven't, and I've probably seen images of Michelle Yeoh in this, but I've never seen the movie in its entirety.
Yeah. So I figured, all right, let's watch this, because enough people who I respect film-wise keep talking about it. I don't know if there was a re-release or whatever. For whatever reason, it was coming up. And I'm like, all right, I like watching women who are in martial arts films beat the shit out of everybody. That's my thing. In fact, the only thing missing from this movie is Cynthia Rothrock, honestly, of all things, which is fine. But I'm like, let's watch this movie. And I really wasn't clear. I did watch the trailer for it. The trailer explains nothing, which is fine. It just showed, like, some of the scenes. I did see the thing where they threw the motorcycle at the guy
from that
and
era.
that type of thing.
This is that era of trailers where trailers just didn't know what the fuck they were doing. Whereas
but the
today,
trailer,
they're like scientifically designed to tell you too much and suck you in.
No, I actually think this trailer knew exactly what it was doing. It understood that it really doesn't matter what the story is. That's not what you're going to come away from this movie for. It's not the story. The story is as color by numbers for the most part as possible. I don't even know that we got a true motivation for whatever the villain was doing. Not really. It doesn't matter what you're coming into this for.
Yeah, there is a piece of information there where I'm kind of like.
Well, here's the story.
I thought he
Let's
was.
lay out
I
the
was
story.
thought he. Okay, go ahead.
The plot of this film, its A plot is an evil Power Rangers villain underneath the earth is stealing male babies to pick one, to give his rose to one of them, to become the next emperor of China, because China must have an emperor.
And I don't understand if he was going to inhabit them, if that's what it was.
Never made clear. Nope, never made
clear, yeah.
The Wikipedia entry doesn't even say. So
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody knows. It doesn't.
And it doesn't sound like a good thing either. And then the rest of the babies will turn into the Emperor's minions.
Yes, no, because this villain is shown to corrupt people and use them for nefarious ends. Unless, of course, the villain is actually right all along, which, based on the level of incompetency that the police force in this fictional city has, maybe the bad guy was onto something. I don't know. But anyway, it doesn't matter that we hear immediately there's a couple that's out in the countryside and they're shopping for a house and they're out in the middle of nowhere. And on the radio, you hear that 18 babies have been taken and nobody knows why. But there's they say, why has no one called Wonder Woman? So immediately, right off the bat, the movie establishes that there is at least one superhero, or superheroine, I suppose, one superpowered individual that has the title of Wonder Woman. We don't know anything else. There's no origin stories, really. There's sort of an origin story for the Invisible Woman, but not Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman just is Wonder Woman. So this couple goes out, they find this house, it's train wreck, but the wife is like, no, I like it. I like it. You don't really have a reason why. And the husband, who we find out later is like the main detective for the local police force, he's like, really? You like this spot? She's like, yeah, it's away from everything.
Yeah, and he's like, it's kind of far out of the way, don't you think? And she's like, no, this is good, yeah. Yes,
and unsurprisingly to anybody, the reason for that is because she is Wonder Woman, and so having a lair that is away from, as you figured out very quickly, away from everybody else is a good thing. Because she has a secret identity. She wears a mask. Nobody else knows who she is. She just kind of appears very Batman-based, where, she seems to swoop in and save things. There's this early scene where the police chief, who is a bumbling idiot, has an invisible note is written to him. By the way, the Invisible Woman is seen by everybody in the conference room. There is no secret. They don't know exactly what's going on, but she's not really hiding that she's there, because she's kind of knocking things over, slamming doors, writing on notes with a pen that's just sitting there.
Well, she's trying to get their attention. You realize that she's warning them.
Right. She says to the police chief, your child is next. And so they go to the hospital, which looks like something out of Max Headroom or Brazil or Cyberpunk City or whatever.
The set is very
very severe
severe architecture.
Very, very harsh lighting. Looks like Highlander 2 at points. Lots of different influences here. And so they go there and they have all the police officers there. And even though the place is basically locked down, sure enough, the Invisible One shows up and grabs a pair of babies and starts leaving. At which point the Wonder Woman shows up. The Invisible Woman throws a baby, takes a baby, and there's a lot of high wire work and people jumping around. And honestly, the plot doesn't even matter. The third entry of the trio is the thief catcher, who was, I think, by far my favorite character in the whole film.
She was,
shows up. She's great. She looks like a Simon Bisley drawing, more or less. You know, obviously without the Hulk-like muscles, but biker top to bottom, riding motorcycle, igniting barrel drums so she can take off into the middle of the air with a shotgun and blow guys across the room.
Yeah, big hair, shotgun, dynamite, yeah.
Amazing big hair, goggles, the whole thing. Like top to bottom, 11 out of 10, 400 out of 10, whatever.
Whereas Michelle
no
Yeoh as the Invisible Woman looks absolutely amazing in this. I mean, the costumes they put her in and everything, she is stunning.
Yeah, the Wonder Woman is probably the most understated of all of them. She basically has a mask, a cape, and kind of a black and sort of gray, suit of some kind. Michelle Yeoh's always in bright red, like tight, bright red suits. At one point, she shows up looking like Carmen Sandiego. She's got these giant capes, the hat, everything. Oh yeah, no. As you said,
the look of this movie is very good. The way the guy films it. I mean, there are some very beautiful shots he does.
Yeah.
That are like, if you freeze framed it there, it would just be a beautiful frame of the movie.
There are people that you will recognize from other movies. Most notably, one of the main bad guys is Johnny from Hard Boiled, who I recognized even though he looks radically different. And if you hear the commentary, you will hear me say at one point, wait, is that? And I'm stopping and looking, I'm like, it's fucking lightning. It's fucking lightning from Big Trouble in Little China.
Little China, yeah.
Oh, man, that was the best of everything, where I'm just like, it's fuck, because I'm looking at him, because he looks, in Big Trouble in Little China, they're all, the storms are all very theatrically dressed, you'll see him in civilian clothing. Whereas in this, he's playing a professor who's developing the invisible robe. We're trying to perfect it. He's already developed it, but it's not perfect. And he's being poisoned by the toxins. Yeah, she can only use it at night. It's emitting these toxins, which I guess don't affect her because she never was shown to be sick, but he is. So maybe it's because he's more exposed to it. It's never really clear.
Well, he's working on it, whereas she just wears it at night. Maybe that's what it is.
Yes, sure. Like I said, it doesn't really matter. It's just setting up an emotional thing for her where, she's clearly in love with him, and then he dies. And then, like I said, the other big person I recognized was Johnny from Hard Boiled, who plays essentially a version of the hulking bad guy from Superman 2 who cannot really speak but can only grunt and just go
and he is pretty formidable. I mean, he does kick the shit out of all of them.
We thought when he actually died that he was going to come back. We were sure that he was going to basically...
I thought he was going to come back as a skeleton, and I said that on the commentary.
Yeah. And you were right, but not about
just
him.
the wrong.
Wrong
but one of the things I like about this movie is that so eventually the three of them come together and realize that they have to stop the Emperor, right? The main villain. Yep. And what I like is that whereas the fight with from Johnny, the Johnny fight was pretty straightforward. He was just really tough, but they were able to fight him, and then they eventually they blow him up. Fighting the Emperor has a shit ton of powers. So when they fight him, it's not consistent. There's a whole sequence where they fight him underground and they realize they need to get away, and then he comes after them and he's kicking the shit out of them, and then even after the thief catcher blows him up, he then comes back as a skeleton, which for this type of movie I thought was very well done effect.
Yeah, very well.
But then he uses his skeleton to basically encase Michelle Yeoh and uses her strength to fight the others, which I was like, you know what? That's very well done. I was like, that's actually a neat fight sequence where they don't want to hurt her, but he's kicking the shit out of them. You know what I mean? I do like that fight is not straightforward, that it takes on many different levels because they are not fighting a normal person. And you don't normally get that in movies. It's like I'm super powerful, but we're going to have a hand-to-hand combat fight. Whereas with this, it's like, well, there's fighting, but it goes beyond that. There's fire and there's explosives and shooting and kicking and punching and stabbing. It's like you're doing everything,
200 hours later.
Yes, there are a ton of stunts. There's a lot of pyrotechnics. Babies get killed, which is not something you see in movies
babies do
a lot.
die in this, yeah.
Yes,
I was
there is
surprised
at
by
least
that.
one baby who gets impaled on the head by a nail, and they are unable to save the child, which, is this dramatic moment.
That was a shocker.
That was a shocker. I thought that the husband of Wonder Woman was going to die at one point. He ends up comically in traction, but not even as much as we thought. So it doesn't the movie generally has this very almost comedic fantasy feeling to it for a lot of it. But then, and this is typical of these types of films, I've talked about this before, but then it hard left turns into very serious drama again, multiple times, most notably with Michelle Yeoh and the Professor, with Wonder Woman and her husband, with the baby dying, with the backstory between Wonder Woman and Invisible Woman being separated as young children because the bad guy was being too hard on one of them, so she left.
No, but
this
the thing
idea
is,
that Michelle Yeoh wants to kill herself.
But it's not a bad guy. That's the other thing, is that the guy that we thought was the bad guy is actually just some brutal martial arts master who wanted justice and didn't think Michelle Yeoh was good enough. So he kept Wonder Woman to train her and drove the Invisible Woman away. And then the Invisible Woman...
I'm not clear that guy isn't related to the Emperor guy somehow.
No, because she goes away,
sure.
and then she goes to the Emperor to give her power. And she swears herself to him.
I thought it was Michelle Yeoh who was the one that stayed behind.
No, Michelle Yeoh is the one that ends up with the Emperor. And the Wonder Woman
you got it backwards, because they call the one who leaves, the name of the one who leaves is Ching Ching. That's not Michelle Yeoh. Michelle Yeoh is...
I'm telling you. I'm going to look it up right now.
God, now I'm getting mixed up. I mean,
because,
it's possible,
I'm telling you, you got that screwed up.
That's possible. I thought it was the other way around because of the naming, but I could be wrong. I'm trying to remember what all the namings were. Hold on, let's see. Who is who in this thing? All right. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, Michelle Yeoh is Ching. So, okay, yeah, so she leaves. Again, it really doesn't even matter. It's... Wait a minute. Why? Because she was the younger one. Okay, got it.
Yeah, they're long-lost
there
sisters, which they realize later on when they come together.
But not blood sisters, martial arts sisters, because I thought they were blood sisters, but they're apparently not.
No, they're martial arts sisters.
Because he says martial arts sisters, which, I mean, in this world is probably the same thing. Who cares, really? Seriously, I mean, that's more of a bond than some sisters probably have in this particular universe.
Yeah.
But again, this is all basically a framework to hang these exorbitant fight scenes on.
It kind of reminds me at times of Tim Burton's Batman. You know, Tim Burton's Batman is very...
absolutely. The sets
so you
and the
see it too, right?
are very Gotham City.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking Highlander 2 and Batman are the main kind of... Because literally that fight where all the manholes are exploding and they're kind of running around feels like Highlander 2's opening, where he's fighting the guys on the flying things. Except without the awful old age makeup and terrible, attempt to sound old by Christopher Lambert. That's missing. Sadly also missing is Sean Connery, because honestly his presence in this movie probably would have only made things better. I can only imagine what they would try to dub him as. In any event, there's definitely this Batman feel to it.
I
was great.
thought that it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, there's a sequel, which I want to watch now. But this is, again, you can't... If you're going to get hung up on the narrative, then don't even bother, because that's not the point. The point is...
Because all these movies are like that, though. The story is not the most incredible thing about it. It's a simple outline to hang all the fun on.
Well, yeah, the point of the movie is the operatic action scenes. It is this kind of heightened over reality, or lack of reality, and this is a fantasy film. More than anything else. This is a martial arts fantasy film where people can run across electrical wires as if they weigh nothing.
So it's Daredevil.
Of strings. Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
it's the Ben Affleck Daredevil.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Honestly, you know what? Daredevil should be made as like one of these operatic martial arts movies.
I could not agree more. Could not agree more. I would watch the shit out of that. Yeah. I mean, realistically, there probably was a period of time where it would have been made into this back, in this time period where Marvel wasn't anything like they are now.
Yeah.
And they were willing to sell their properties off to anybody who would make something with them.
Yeah.
If the right person had decided to make Daredevil as a Hong Kong action film, it probably could have happened. Yeah, that would have been... The problem is now it would be way too John Wick polished like it is. Whereas it wouldn't have the looseness of something like this. This is one of the things I like about movies of this time period, like the 80s.
Well, I mean, like some of the times you can still see the wires.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter because it's not about that. Like you don't care that the skeleton doesn't ever look at any point look real, especially when he first comes out of the fire and it's stop motion Terminator shit. You know, it doesn't matter because it's all of the
you know what it is.
You're in the world. Yeah, and why does the professor's office constantly have 50 fans running with paperwork flying everywhere? It doesn't matter.
Honestly, this goes back to that whole music video look. The look of this movie inflects a feel. And it doesn't make any sense if you stop and think about it. And
so does the fighting. The fighting is not meant to really be any type of physical combat. It's meant to be these ballet-type swirling, flying movements, and you're more just supposed to be kind of wrapped up in the over-dramatized feeling of it. You know, that's the point. And if you watch this movie the way it's intended to be watched, it's a masterpiece. Because at no point was I bored even a little bit. Even when they were talking everything, because the lighting, like you said, all the way the shots.
I was confused. I was confused at times, but I did enjoy it thoroughly.
Yeah, I kind of gave up on understanding the narrative at a certain point. I'm just like, I don't care.
I love that the three heroes are so well defined in themselves. Where like Wonder Woman is
different.
Yeah, they fight. They all fight differently. They have their specific weapons. The way they move is different, and it's like, you know, the thief catcher, she's on a motorcycle and she's got her shotgun and she does kind of a weird sort of gun fu half the time with explosives, whereas the Invisible Woman is first off, she's invisible half the time, and honestly her combat is similar to the Invisible Woman's, but she is far more, I think she's more aggressive than the Invisible Woman, whereas the Invisible Woman feels far more floaty.
Yes, very ethereal.
Yes.
Also, Wonder Woman and Invisible Woman, I love the fact that they are basically copyright infringement titles. The fact that they're called that. So I said at one point in the commentary, well, it's nice to see DC and Marvel both got their impressive female title ripoffs. That's fantastic. But yes, they all do feel very individual. They feel, you know, because Wonder Woman is probably the most pure and kind of noble of them. The Invisible Woman spends most of the film either really being evil or kind of succumbing to what she thinks is the only way she can do anything because of the professor, so she's resigned herself to being a monster. And the thief catcher is essentially a mercenary until, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through or so, when she's like, no, you know, as expected, I have a heart of gold as well. But up to that point, she's like, I'll rescue the kid, you know, here's the amount for getting him alive, here's if you don't care if he's dead, you know, but either way, you're paying me. And then she brings the gold back and throws it, you know, onto the chief's desk and like, nah, never mind, it's too much of a hassle, after she's already had her arm poisoned, which is then expunged by, what does Wonder Woman basically take her? One of them takes like
she grabs her arm and she just basically whips it out and whips the needles right out of the wound.
Yeah, well, if you've ever squeezed toothpaste out by kind of running your finger down the length of the tube to get it to the end, that's what she does, and it fires out of the front of her, like one of her veins. I mean, it's so brief, you don't even really know what's happening at first. And I'm like, oh, so she basically just ran it out like a tube of paint. All right, got it.
That looks like it hurt, yep.
It didn't look fun, but if all poisoning can be fixed that way, a lot less people would probably die from it. So it's, you know, just saying, I don't think it really works that way. But that's okay. I don't care. It's not reality.
I personally think that these martial arts movies naturally evolve into superhero movies.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's many of them have less of a concern about being grounded in reality. They understand. And the goal is spectacle, not airtight, grounded reality. You know, that's part of what a lot of people, and I do understand this criticism, even if I'm okay with it existing parallel, is what a lot of people don't like the Nolan Batman films because of how grounded they are. They feel like it takes something away from what Batman could be. And I see what they're saying. If you want Batman to be more like the Tim Burton thing, where, you know, Tim Burton is sort of reality, but it's not. I mean, it is also ridiculous. Whereas Nolan was trying to do, well, what if the Batman stuff was real? Which is one of my problems with his Two-Face, is it's far too realistic for my taste. One of the statements I often have people look at me like I have 40 eyes on my face when I say it is, I like the Tommy Lee Jones Two-Face better than the Nolan one because it feels more like Two-Face to me. Even though I know that Batman Forever is a far inferior film to The Dark Knight. Like, I don't mix those two things up. But if you ask me which version of Two-Face I'd rather watch for 90 to 120 minutes, I'd rather watch Tommy Lee Jones.
That'd be the animated Batman version.
Well, okay, of live action. Yes, of course. The animated one isn't even worth bringing into this discussion because it towers over everything, including the comic books. So, yes, there's the winner. But in terms of live action, I'd rather have the spectacle. Yeah.
No, hold on. This is interesting to me. So you think that the animated Two-Face is better than like the Long Halloween Two-Face?
Oh,
which
yeah.
is the one that which is the one that he's in? Is it the Long Halloween or is it the
No, it is. It's Long Halloween. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's better.
You think it's better? Because okay. Interesting.
I think that the animated 2-part Two-Face origin story may be... hold on, I have to think about this, but it's probably true. It probably is my favorite Batman
So if you had your way,
period.
if you had to basically find a canon Batman, like if you could decide what the universe 0 for Batman was, do you think that the animated Batman universe is the best of them?
Without a doubt.
Really? Interesting.
It's not even a question in my mind.
So live action, comic, everything, you think the animated Batman is the best Batman?
The animated one put together all of the elements in ways that I can't find criticism with. Whereas everything else I have a problem with of some sort. Long Halloween, I don't like the Joker. I don't like that fucking horse-toothed Joker shit. It's ugly as fuck. I can't stand it. Like, I can't stand that particular... It's probably not the worst Joker I've ever seen, to be fair. But it bugs the hell out of me. Like, look, Tim Sale, I based one of my illustration finals on him because I love his art so much. But that is one of those 50-story misfires. Is his Joker is so awful to look at that it hurts me to look at it because all of his other stuff is so much better.
It's so good, yeah.
Yes. So in terms of finding
I think that is it's a fascinating, bold statement to say that listen, I love the animated Batman. I grew up with the animated Batman. I just don't know if I could say that I think it's the best of all of them.
And part of the thing with the animated thing is I liked what they did with making the old style car, like everything's Art Deco, which I love a lot.
Yeah, it's future but really past good. At the same time.
Yeah, there's a lot of that bold kind of German impression or expression, whatever whatever the movies of the 30s that the Germans did or whatever.
Yeah.
German expressionism, I think it is. There's that kind of harsh, almost gothic horror lighting. So it has those Burton elements. I think Kevin Conroy's Batman is exceptionally well voiced. I like the fact that he feels like two different characters. Even though they
didn't have to digitize him at all, yeah.
No, they didn't do anything. And then like Heart of Ice is probably the best Mr. Freeze story. Probably. That I think I know of. So there's so many classics that are in there.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to find fault with
You make a convincing argument. I give you that.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to totally derail you.
No,
I just thought that was a very bold statement.
My second Batman would be the Breyfogle era, which most people probably wouldn't pick because he had this very gothic horror art style. That's the gray and blue Batman suit, which most people don't think is the best one. But I grew up reading those comics, so for comic-wise, that's my favorite
80s,
comic.
early 90s Batman, right?
Yeah, I think it's mid-80s to mid-90s. I actually have the Legends of the Dark Knight collections, but those I think are better than Long Halloween too. I remember those visuals so vividly, but I grew up with those, so it's also a different thing. But yeah, how the hell did we get? Oh, because we were talking about Batman as far as the Nolan thing. Yeah, so that's the thing where I will take operatic over grounded a lot of times, and that's what this Heroic Trio is, an operatic superhero story. It's more concerned with you remembering. I mean, there's so many standout sequences. There's so many things that you and I were just kind of dazzled at because we're like, wow, this is not... I had only seen the trailer, so I really didn't know what the structure of the movie was going to be, but the underground layer with all the ropes...
The fight sequences are fun and different. There are action elements I did not expect, like when she lights up the barrel and rides it like a horse through the window.
For throwing the motorcycle at the guy that he breaks in half before a train busts through the wall.
Oh yeah, that where he's got the train behind is coming from behind him, and they throw the motorcycle sideways, and he like splits it in half. Yeah, there's some really ingenuitive scenes in this that you don't necessarily see coming, where you're like, okay, what happens now? Like, you don't know.
Right.
So I enjoyed it. I hope that the sequel is as good.
Okay, I've read it's not at this level,
Okay.
but that it's still good. So my suspicion is, it sounds like, from what I've read, and look, I've read reviews and stuff that's been completely wrong before, so I hope that this is all just bullshit. As far as people expecting too much, which you sit there and go, well, if you watch the first movie, how'd you expect? But it sounds like they tried to do more narratively, and maybe that's the problem, is that they tried to... They
we wanted to have a tighter
story.
Yeah, and we realized that, we got away from the operatic.
But they're both on Criterion, so that tells me, okay.
Well, they can't be that bad then, yeah.
Well, at least that the quality level is still probably a cut above a lot of other things. And that becomes the other side of it, is a lot of people who review these, I wonder if they're holding it to the standards of excellence that they forget, okay, yeah, but in American films we had, barbed wire and shit at this time period, so I'm sure it's a lot better than barbed wire, So as long as it's better than barbed wire, it's a success.
That is a bad movie made from a bad comic.
Isn't it? I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
But that's a whole separate discussion. Heroic Trio is excellent. At least the first one.
Nope.
Flawless.
I adored it. It was a fun watch, but from beginning to the end.
And we did record a commentary. It will be on the Patreon a while from now because I'm doing one a month. And so I'm spacing these things out. So you have plenty of time to find them. But they will be there so that you can hear our reaction, our first time reaction. So this is much like Metropolis. I don't know that it was as spellbinding because Metropolis is...
You mean Megapolis?
Or Megalopolis, sorry, not Metropolis. Yeah, I don't know that we're going to get to something as back of the head blow-outy-ifying as Megalopolis anytime soon. But I say that, and that means that I'm going to find it next week. But as of the moment, that is the high watermark as far as we have no idea where that was going.
To go that big and that nuts? No, I don't know if anything we're going to pick up for a while is maybe quite there.
But in terms of something that
but you know what?
I've
never watched Caligula, so I mean, there's that.
Yeah, but I think I know what Caligula is going to do, and so I don't really need to watch it.
And we've seen that porno before, yeah.
Many times, and probably, I mean, the only difference is Peter O'Toole and Malcolm McDowell aren't in it, which I'm sorry, I don't know that that's enough to bring me in. But in terms of, if you want Hong Kong spectacle and you've never seen Heroic Trio, I think you and I both recommend without any hesitation.
Oh no, I would recommend Heroic Trio to most people who like martial arts movies.
Yeah.
But you have to be in that crowd. I don't think I would suggest it cold for, somebody who's like, I like John Wick. I'm like, oh, maybe Heroic Trio is not your thing.
Yeah, and this is a world I watch a lot of stuff in, and I still miss this one. So it may be that you've seen this one, you're like, yeah, of course. Who hasn't seen Heroic Trio? Well, I agree. There's a lot of these movies, though. So this may be no kidding for a lot of people who are already into this stuff. But if for some reason you missed it the way I did, for whatever reason...
Well, I want to see the directors. I want to see the director's other work now. I am curious to see what else they've done, because visually, I like his style. I mean, there's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
It's the thing is, like I said, the actual visuals, the visual style is highly kind of. But I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound bad, but it's a positive. Over-engineered, which I like. It's very heightened. And so is the action, and that's what's great about it. You know what
this movie made me realize? I actually have come to really dislike Michelle Yeoh in Discovery. And I think it's because
I completely agree.
I like her
character at all.
I like her so much in everything else that I almost feel like she's wasted in Discovery.
She is wasted. The problem is, the best she is when she's the nice version, and then she dies. I would love to see a movie where she was a good captain.
Yeah, in the beginning where she's a captain.
That's a great show, and they fucking flushed it.
Yeah.
So, And I'm not going to watch that Discovery movie because, oh boy.
Yeah, the
that
reviews
looks
are
like a piece of
fascinating.
I mean, nobody who wasn't paid to say it was good thinks it's good. So,
Well, there you go. Well,
so
there you
if
go.
you want to see the
It's not such
opposite
bad
of that,
reviews. We had some.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that Wonder Woman was rickety, but Heroic Trio. Listen, if you want to see a really good Wonder Woman, Heroic Trio is where to see her.
yeah. Oh man, I didn't even think to make that connection. Well done. Yeah. Some versions of Wonder Woman you have to think about. Others you don't. This one you don't. So the only thing about let me take a look. I don't know that it's available anywhere that's not the Criterion Collection. Oh no, I'm sorry. It is on Max and it's $4 on Amazon. It is remember how we were talking about the price?
It's worth $4.
Yeah. It's well worth $4.
How much
So
is
if
it?
you've
How much
never
is the
seen it-
Criterion version?
I got it for $40, which is both movies, 2 movies.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna say
oh.
I'd pay $20 for this movie.
No. I paid $40 for a 4K of both movies.
For both of them, yeah. So it's 20 each, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And okay, now it's so it okay. So on Criterion Direct, it's 48, but I believe that it is.
Well, either
still
way,
40 on Amazon.
I would pay for this movie.
I did pay for this movie. I predicted I would buy it as we were watching it. I was so mesmerized, I waited and I bought it before I went to sleep.
Wow, so it was so amazing you couldn't buy it while you were watching it.
I did not. I really didn't want to miss anything. I really didn't. That's how good it was. So, yes, this is a rare case where I did not buy it during. I waited. I knew I was going to buy it. And plus, I knew it wasn't hard to get, so that makes it a little easier. So, yeah. On that note, everybody, whatever you choose to indulge in, enjoy it. Safely, please. Don't hurt yourself. And on that note, we'll talk to you again next week. Visit OzoneNightmare.com to subscribe to new episodes, browse through our back catalog, or to find links to support the show. Follow @OzoneNightmare on Twitter for the latest episode postings and other show information. If 280 characters just isn't enough, you can always email us, theozonenightmare@gmail.com. The opening theme for the show is provided by Heartbeat Hero. The closing theme is provided by Ogre. Please visit and support these artists using the links in the show notes for each episode.